What's going on, people? I made it somehow, some way. I made it from another game all the way to the HLTV Confirmed episode. It's episode number 11, and we are ready to bring it all to do with WESG, looking at Sao Paulo, doing a bit of a preview, having some fun with the HLTV Fantasy side of things. We're going to be doing Sao Paulo with that with the guys. But I actually made it. I'm here, and I'm not going to get fired now. If you've seen what was going on the HLTV Instagram page, I was under heavy fire because I literally just got out of taxi and made it here. My room is a fucking tip. Yes, that is very true. This is my office that's still being developed and worked on, but I'm here. That's
it looks like it for sure.
And now we are. All right, Prof, Striker, Chad. I don't know.
I'm sending a tweet.
Oh, here we go.
What was that you had on? Because you're fairly dark, so I didn't quite understand.
It's the level 3 helmet from PUBG. Because I've just got back from the PUBG
fucking
event.
Great. Get the fuck out of here.
Shut your mouth.
That is a fireable offense, by the way.
I'm sorry, that I'm just a very talented in multiple games while you have to just focus on CS, sure. Mate. It's not my fault. You can't hate me for that.
You're just too talented.
I can. It's just.
All right, I've done a Chad. I've ordered food. I've got myself ready for this. But how are you guys feeling? What have you guys been up to? I know Chad's been doing WESG, slightly losing his mind at crazy hours of the day.
I just had a nap. Last night my shuttle was at 3 a.m. Ukrainian time, which is 2 a.m. everyone else's time, and then I got a flight, well, 2 flights, and then I had a nap because I thought I want to be able to be somewhat cognizant for this podcast. My apartment is also a mess because I'm moving, so it's all happening. All systems go.
We're all in this just chaotic moment. What about you, Professor? How are you doing?
You see, fun times, rosters being changed, people claiming to confirm things that they didn't confirm, and all the good stuff going on. Classic CS, all I can say.
Yep.
You hate to see it. What about you, Striker? What you been up to in the past couple of weeks?
Well, just covering WSG, really. Pretty much the same as Sponge, even though from a different angle.
Did you go out there, or you did it from home?
No, from home.
Okay.
We had Lucas there.
Hey. All right, well, let's get into some of this breaking news. And I think we've got to start off with, it's Oskar and lmbt returning to HellRaisers. Now, Oskar, for me, is still a viable, huge pickup in that. lmbt going across, obviously, as a coach. For whatever reason, he wasn't in the mouse sport side of things. But this is a HellRaisers change that they obviously needed to make. And then with WOXIC going, but where do we think this is going to go? Do we think this is a big improvement?
First of all, we have to say that Prof called it. I think that's the most important thing. We
said it will not happen. Both of us said it will not happen.
No, I said Oskar is the best thing.
Well, yes, but we both agreed that it's not going to happen, though.
No, I didn't say it.
I'm going to find it because we both said. I
didn't say it will happen 100%, but I surely didn't say it won't happen. Or maybe I did.
You said you don't think it will happen, though. I'm very sure of that.
I think either way, they still need a star player as their 5th, right? I don't think Hobbit's really bringing a lot to the team, to be completely honest. I think, obviously, Issa and WOXIC were a really good duo, but Oskar and Issa, can they be as deadly? I'm not quite sure. Having lmbt come across, obviously, he's quite familiar with that, and then we had that what could potentially be a bogus report about Sunny. I'm sure that HellRaisers would like Sunny, but if Sunny goes to that team, then he's made probably the worst decision of his entire career. So, all in all, it's a good sign for HellRaisers to have a veteran coach like lmbt there. Having Oskar there, we're breaking the place. But I don't think it's not like massive groundbreaking news. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel with this roster change that HellRaisers are going to be any more competitive than they were previously.
Well, it depends on what kind of 5th they get, right? With this alone, I have to agree. It's like, okay, Oskar is obviously more experienced, generally a little bit more stable than WOXIC, but potentially like his peaks haven't been quite as high as WOXIC's at times. So you have to kind of look at that as well. So generally, like peak-wise, I have to agree that they will probably not be very different unless they get some sort of a 3rd star into that team. But stability-wise, that could be a little bit better because WOXIC did have like up and down periods.
Yeah, I mean, they still, whatever they get, I think they'll just remain like an upset team on the border of top 10, top 15, somewhere along those lines, as it stands right now. Because I don't believe in this report that Sunny, I mean, this is not, I don't know how, it's Senya, the famous YouTuber, saying something on his YouTube channel that then was reported on by cybersport.ru, who are not really the most credible source. If people follow them, they report a lot of things that are kind of just basic rumors, not really things that are going to happen. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that. If that happened, of course, yeah, this is a very exciting team, but it doesn't make any sense for Sunny to go out of Mouse Sports and then rejoin Oskar and lmbt in just a worse team. So that doesn't make any sense for me.
Yeah, for him to leave them and then want to go back and play with them is kind of silly. If he doesn't have any other options, sure. But obviously, if I was him, this is what I would be hoping, that eventually the ENTS thing comes on in and we're going to get to look at how ENTS have changed since the major when they're playing the best of ones in Brazil coming up this week. But I think that that's going to be the goal for him. That's going to be like that, because you're playing at home, you're playing in native language, etc. And if you can't get there, then you're hoping to get into a team like FaZe or something along those lines. You don't want to be stepping, back down, because he put himself on a massive platform. Sure, the team fizzled out a little bit, but in my opinion, he's still a fantastic player. And going back to HellRaisers, unless it's like a short contract, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to do this for like, I don't know, 2 to 3 months, or see how it goes, something along those lines, where it's not a whole year, 2 years, then maybe. But if it's like a long-term thing, then I think it's just a waste of his time and everyone else's.
Yeah, definitely for me, Sunny is either a FaZe or some NA team. That's the real things going on. Even, who knows, ENTS as well, like something like that. But going to HellRaisers is just below what we expect for a player of his caliber.
But if not Sunny, then who could we even expect to join HellRaisers at this point? Like, what kind of options do they have?
They could get a new up-and-coming player that's not outside the realms of Angel, right? He always seems to go and dip and grab somebody. And there's lots of players in FPL and FPLC and all that kind of stuff that could be prospects. It's just if he wants to do the rebuilding process yet again. The poor guy has just been a feeder for so long. And I thought that, maybe you would get a change coming with Na'Vi and the end of late last year, or, after the major this time around. But they seem to be sticking to their guns for at least the moment. So with that in mind, Angel's just going to be left to either do exactly that, go for another veteran-style player who their skill ceiling isn't huge, but he'll get the job done, or take a risk on somebody and see if they can nurture the future tomorrow. He's already did it. He's already done it with several players. There's no reason he can't do it again. It's just how much willpower can somebody have to keep doing it time and time again? That's the big question mark.
I wonder if Adren could be an option. Like if this FaZe thing doesn't really work out and it seems like it's still kind of temporary. Like Adren could probably be a pretty good addition to this HellRaisers team. As you said, it would be like one of those veteran players, and he actually has looked pretty good individually. So I don't see why that wouldn't be an option if his like FaZe tenure actually comes to an end.
I mean, my crazy.
Okay.
No, just never mind. My crazy idea for HellRaisers. Something was lagging, but it wasn't lagging. It was just a delay, classic delay. My crazy idea for HellRaisers is for them to get BNTed from Tidal. That would be a crazy ballsy move if they could get him. But I think having him just as a player, as a rifler, that could push them into a higher ceiling than they can get with like a player that they will probably get someone like Windigo, who is now cut from game. Not cut, but they didn't agree on whatever salary terms. And so he's a free agent. He's like an option for HellRaisers. But something like that, I don't think will give them a potential to really do something great with this lineup.
What about like Calyx or someone long?
Does he speak English? I don't know.
I guess that's the question mark, right? But he must.
I don't think.
A little bit
I think he
English.
doesn't. I think maybe he does like basics, but like from what I've like done interviews around Space Soldiers, none of them really speak English outside of the coach.
You'd be curious to see if a European team ever took a risk on one of these like Asian players, right? Obviously, BENTED is a good one.
Yeah, if it was a player, it would have been BENTED probably. Like there's not a better option than BENTED at this point.
I mean, even before they signed Oskar, I was thinking maybe they can get Xcurate and BENTED as like a combo. Maybe that could work out, because potentially bringing a player from Asia, China, wherever he's living right now, to Ukraine or something, have them live there alone, that would be complicated. Maybe you get two of them and then they can accommodate to the culture and everything a bit easier. I don't know. He's not a bad player, but now that they have Oskar, that's probably not, certainly not going to happen.
I just don't think, unless you're an organization that has stacks and stacks of cash, you're probably not getting anyone from Tyloo, right? Like that. I don't know what their contract situation's like, but I'm going to assume that it's not an easy thing to get in and out of by any means. I'd say that they don't have a buyout set. it's probably along the lines of, if you want our players, come, let's have a discussion, and we'll get as much money as we can from you. So it really have to be a big organization to come in and try and grab them out of there if they wanted to do so. And it would actually be the better for them, because I think that Tyloo, they're a threatening team, right? They've already proven that they are that, and I don't take anything away from them in that regard. I just don't think that anything's ever going to happen with this massive language barrier. It's not going to change now that they've changed 2 Chinese players. It doesn't change anything in the dynamic. What if they got something, like, you could do something where everybody was speaking terrible English, right? Imagine like Benta, Xcurate, you got Freeman in there. Sure, we can think of another name or two who could. I was going to say Kaze, but he's another AWPer, so you don't want to have the overlap with him and Xcurate in that regard. Or maybe you could. Who knows? Bring back the crazy double AWP. But all in all, I think HellRaisers at the moment, like we stated in the very beginning, it's flat, right? They're not. I don't expect a huge rise in performances out of them with these changes.
Fair enough. The other one we got to look at, right? And that's one that's literally just broken quite recently while we got on the plane. I was seeing all the news come out. JUGi and Config potentially going to C9, and obviously where Kiyoshima might end up here. Where he gonna go with it? Now the JUGi and Config thing, that's not exactly confirmed, right? It's still awaiting to see if it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But good move or bad move, because okay, JUGi, I'd still put some stock in him myself. Config had these moments of good times, but it's like you've been on OpTic a while and nothing's really been happening.
The thing is, if the Cloud9 organization are under the impression that Golden gets a spot for the next major, and that's why they're going to bring in the next 2 players, they have probably duped themselves here. You really want to clarify with Valve. Now, I went and did some digging and asked different people, and I don't want to go and talk about sources either, but I asked people from different tournament organizers if they've heard anything about rule changes up from this point from Valve, and they said no. So if there's been no rule changes, we're going off what has happened before, and the spot has actually gone to Zelsus. So the 5 players with it is Keo, Zelsus, Flusher, then Automatic and Rush. Golden doesn't have it. That means they only have 2 players, right? If they're happy to go through, and this is the thing, if you add JUGi and if you add Config to the team, and then you've got Golden, you have to go through the European minor. You don't get the opportunity to play in the North America minor, so their whole little plan of getting back in there has completely been blown out of the water. So if that is the case, the rules aren't going to be addressed, which they definitely should be, because this whole coach debacle needs to be fixed in itself, but we can leave that outside of the realm of the current discussion. If that's the case, Cloud9 shouldn't do this. It's a terrible decision for the organization to try and go overseas and international when they're going to have to, if they want their players to live in North America and then go and compete in the European minor, it's just silly. It doesn't make any sense. So if I was Cloud9, I wouldn't go through with this. I would look to potentially, rebuild the organization around Russian Automatic with North American players and start again, because North America is still open for discussion right now. Liquid are the best team, NRG are the second best team, Ghost, you would probably say the third best team, right? So if Cloud9 actually built a full North American roster, and there's lots of players to do it with, they just need to get their wallet out and start purchasing, then they could be another threatening prospect. And that's what I would prefer to happen. They could keep Golden as the in-game leader, sure, get 2 other North Americans. I don't think bringing Config and JUGi over is going to be a long-term change. And I thought this from the very beginning when Flusher and Kia are on the roster. How long are they going to want to live in North America? It's not going to be a long period of time. Keo is the perfect example. He has a girlfriend that lives in the UK. They've lived together for a long period of time. Why the fuck would he want to live in North America and be that far away from his partner for when he can go and play Counter-Strike back in Europe? And I think that he's done a really good job of putting himself back on the market and said, look, I can actually frag still at the top level competitively. And he has a real chance now to go back either to the French scene or an international team. And that's what I would be doing if I was in his position.
I mean, a French team would probably be the biggest opportunity for him at this point, especially with like what's been going on in the French scene. The teams just keep changing. I mean, especially you look at G2 right now, right? Because they've just gone through several changes. Maybe not at this point because they've just literally gone through another one. So maybe like another one is probably not on the cards just yet. Could be somewhere down the line, but at the same time, like, why would he move back unless it was because of what Sponge was saying that he just doesn't want to live in North America? But why would he join Cloud9 in the first place then? Because it's something that I think he should have seen coming. So if that's the case, I think it was just stupid to go there in the first place somewhat. So it's just interesting. Generally, I agree with you, Banks, that I would still put some stock in JUGi, but the problem is like we haven't seen him perform in like a year. Not up to the level that he had in Heroic.
Agree.
So that's my reservation towards this, right? Because like we've been talking about OpTic for basically like the entire year ever since they formed, and how they've not been delivering. So that's my reservation towards that lineup generally. Config obviously is basically a very similar case that he's been actually performing pretty well, but at the same time, like the team as a whole didn't really work out. He didn't have those same peaks that we saw from him previously. So it's just, I feel like Cloud9 are just trying to put together a roster that's already not going to work. So plus that there's the major thing as well. Well, by the way, there's one thing that they could do is basically do the same thing as this time, right? Just either if Flusha doesn't really want to join another team until the next major, which is a probability, I guess. I'm not sure how likely it is that he's just gonna stay inactive for like another almost half a year or whatever it is now. Then he could just like end up being on the roster, and then they just swap him out for another player, as they did for this major. So if the rules don't change, they actually could pull this lineup off and still go to the major.
Do we think that is an okay thing to do?
No, it's not. It isn't, but that's how it works. They can do it at this point, as far as we know, unless it changed.
It needs to be changed. Like
it does.
That is a mega bullshit abuse of
it. It is a really stupid rule.
Not
if you want to have the
majority
rule
at all.
If you want to have the majority rule, and obviously Valve want to have it, like this doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just like a workaround that you can utilize, obviously and blatantly, because Cloud9 just did, and nobody cared. Obviously, nobody cared.
I mean,
it's crazy
that
there
care.
Wasn't. Yeah.
People did care, but then Golden was sick, and I was like, you can't bash on them. It's like it was an unforeseen circumstance, blah blah. So
I mean, generally, like it was good that Cloud9. Basically, it was good that Cloud9 were at the major, but the way they were there was just bullshit. That was basically the thing.
If they had to go back through the North American minor, obviously NRG are down there now as well, so it's going to be a difficult road for them. I think that this rule really needs to be stitched up, and surely it's been brought to Valve's attention, right? Because ESL would have been in a lot of talks, I would assume, with Valve regarding the whole situation in the first place. You could see the tweet come out from Mihao regarding, at least his understanding of it from how it was previously, and that would be that, hey, this isn't the case. So that Flusha situation, you would have to like pay the guy a ridiculous amount of money to say, listen, bro, just keep you on the roster, and then we'll just pull this fucking switcheroo. That's not okay. That needs to be amended, and I hope that it gets fixed, and I hope that it is a good fix for everybody, because we don't want things to happen like when a player gets sick and they have to go have some form of like emergency surgery, or they just can't travel, like the same reason as what Golden had, or anything. There needs to be the option. We discussed this at length previously, and I'm sure that there's more fair ways that we can have rosters come in for the major, but I still think it needs to be. Still think you need to at least have the core three to get yourself even in the door, whereas right now they definitely don't have that.
Lon was just saying in the chat as well, right? Because you were saying about having to fight through the minors, and say they did end up EU lineup and they went through EU side of things with that would just suck balls, right? You wouldn't want to go through that regardless, and you're training out in NA. Why do we reckon C9 are doing this? What is the reason behind it? Because it just seems crazy. Like, you've always been an NA lineup, you've been building up NA talent, and now we go on to this massive flip-flop of just madness that is partially not making sense. You're giving players, like, okay, a chance to, I guess, cash in a little bit, but there's nothing really long-term there.
I'm wondering if they actually have enough options in North America. Maybe not options, but maybe they've just inquired. Yeah, sure. Maybe they've inquired like for like somebody like Ethan or Breezy or like from Energy, and Energy just said no, or the players themselves didn't want to go because they actually looked like the better team for the majority. Well, not the majority of the year, but for a pretty good part of the year, they looked like the better team. So why would somebody from Energy just make the switch over to Cloud9 at this point? So that could be an issue that Cloud9 potentially probably went up against and realized that they probably don't have enough, like at least experienced enough players in North America to actually create a fully North American lineup. So they just like started going over to Europe, and then it just like kind of spiraled out of control, and those Europeans wanted to have more European players in.
But that spiral out of control, right, where someone needs to go, hold up, wait a fucking second, we've lost our damn minds, this isn't making any sense. Like, for me, you've got Automatic, you've got Rush, right? Let's have Golden as the in-game leader, and then take a chance on some of this younger talent, because at the moment you're probably wasting a lot of fucking money and not getting a lot out of it.
Yeah.
C9 is a team that's got money, right? It's a fucking amazing organization across multiple games. You can't deny that on it. But like, bring in some players that could be the next JUGi or something like that, right? Have this potential, because otherwise, long term, you just hinder the whole NA scene if you ever want to go back to it anyway.
Who are the names came up recently? Apparently, Complexity were in talks with Obo, was it? He was a player.
Oh yeah, Obo.
He's a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Obo was somebody that actually Elige mentioned in his top 20, like the thing that we asked every player to name like a player that could surprise someone in the next year or something. He actually mentioned Obo, so there's some stock in that, I guess. But yeah, if he's 15,
he can't even play
that
a
is an
ESL
issue.
Pro League or anything, so that doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a year.
that
That's like a year away before you can play that. So that's an issue. Yeah. But just like, sure, fuck it. Like, let them be European. I don't even care. It's just like fucking be stable for a second. Like, we haven't seen Cloud9 stable basically since Stewie left. Since then, it's just been roster change on top of roster change, people leaving left and right, and it just hasn't stopped for now almost a year.
It wouldn't surprise me if this, once they do get proper clarification about this major spot situation, if they don't actually have it, it wouldn't surprise me if Cloud9 get out of Counter-Strike. Right? Like, what reason do they have to stay right now? They have to. They would have invested a lot of money in you know, like putting these players on salaries, flying them over, having to get them visas. That kind of shit isn't cheap, man. Like that's not something you want to be doing on a regular basis. I know Cloud9 is one of the biggest organizations in the world. They have a huge fan base. They're fucking printing money. But at some point, when you're looking at it and you go, where's the return here? Or are we even, like, right now, they're not even the North American team. Liquid is the North American team in my mind. And when you think about that, it's like, well, their whole brand identity is just evaporated. The Sean Gares days, back obviously when nothing was in the team, you had the likes of Shrouds. They were North America's team. That was their thing. They were the boys, right? That's everybody could get behind it. And Liquid was kind of like the ugly stepsister that, sure, they were North American, but people really didn't care too much. They were kind of like a mutant. Now, Liquid are the one everyone's behind, and I think that, look, if this goes south, then Cloud9 might reconsider being in Counter-Strike, at least for the time being.
I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, because they have too big of a fan base to just like exit it like a major game for them. I think that's not going to happen anytime soon, unless like they just keep doing this for another couple of years. I don't think Cloud9 have a reason to leave CS. Unless they're just like pouring like shitloads of money into it and it's just not working out. Maybe they'll just get like a worse team that's going to be maybe like a top 20 contender or something. But they will still remain in Counter-Strike. It may not be as good as they would hope for, but they would definitely stay in. Yeah. They have too many fans behind them not to. They would just like, it's probably like in the millions of fans that they have, even in CS.
Yeah.
I definitely have one of the biggest followings in
there.
Just
look at the fucking Reddit. Like, that's the majorly Cloud9 fans.
That's why we love it so much.
That tells you a lot. Like that place has like 1 million subscribers. I'm not sure like what the percentage is. I just saw like somewhere like the percentages of flares, and it was like pretty crazily Cloud9 heavy. So that just tells you a lot about Cloud9's fan base, even now that they obviously have a non-NA team.
I mean, it's interesting. I just linked the tweet about Cloud9 BMW. It comes like right after the Liquid Honda deal and stuff like that. And you look at the Cloud9 announcement, you have Jack, you have the co-owner, whatever, his wife, not his wife, never mind. The woman that does Overwatch League, some female streamer, then there's Sneaky cosplaying whatever, League of Legends. There's no one from CS
more awkward
in this. And
they weren't available though, right?
No, it's a classic thing that no one wants CS from these mainstream guys because it's shooting, it's terrorism and stuff like that.
That's are still the hate.
You don't have Mercedes sponsoring ESL1 Cologne.
I swear that Jack made a tweet. I swear Jack made a tweet saying something like, "Oh, the Counter-Strike guys would have been in this, but they were at a tournament." I swear I read that.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see.
What tournament was that?
Because look at the date of this, right? So this is
they were at the major.
March
8th.
I mean, it could have been shot before, though. Who knows when it was shot?
Yeah.
But yeah. All in all, I mean, it could be just mismanagement overall. Because if you're bringing people from OpTic, if that's an option, I don't think they're going to be going for free, and they're not going to be staying for long. You're going to be changing players again. You're not going to have a winning team. This is not a tournament winning team in the next 3 months, like a big tournament winning team. So then you're going to be investing into some other players 3 to 6 months down the line will again be leaving. So it's a long process. If that long process is not something you can withstand, why not just buy by an NA player, because they do have money. As we see, they just like got a new round of investment, but they don't want to spend it on something they don't want to spend it on. So I don't know. I honestly think there is a decent chance that they thought they could keep the slot with this potential Danish lineup, and now if it turns out they can't, then this move just won't happen. I think it could legit be the thing.
It's definitely a possibility, especially like where do you think DK got that info, the confirmed information, or like from behind the scenes? Like it wasn't Starlighter, because they know what the rule, they should know what the rules are.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't ESL who literally just confirmed. Yeah, who basically like went against him and said, yeah, that's not the case. So it's like it has to be Cloud9 or just like some of the players or whatever where he got that information. So it's just they probably thought the same way. Yeah.
By the way, did we discuss the Mouse Sports roster last week? Because I wasn't here.
We kind of did. We did it for the last 3 episodes.
We kind of knew what was going on with it, right?
We might see how they look after tonight's Fnatic game and have a discussion about it.
I forgot about that shit.
Yeah,
watch it. I have to rewatch.
I mean, it's also a big
I just want to see what Frozen can do.
Game, considering Fnatic landed like half an hour ago or something. So
it's still going to be interesting to watch. I think it's just like to see Mouse Sports and what way they play. Right?
Yeah, of course, but you can't really put too much stock into people flying for 25 hours.
No, but it's still like you'll get a sense of their map pool, like where they want to take it, and you'll still get a sense of how they want to play, where they want to have their players. That's what I like about these online games, like especially with new rosters. You just get a sense of a team before they play it on LAN, right? That's one of the few reasons that I liked online games for, really.
Alright. Well, let's move on to our WESG's results section. Now, Sponge was commentating throughout all of it. We was having some moments of madness. There were some good funny clips that came off the back of that crazy screen that was put up for you guys. You were at one point also Asian commentators
wild out
now.
There. Yeah, I think that like some people they watch it and they go, "Oh, these guys aren't being very professional." But when you have certain things getting thrown in your face like that, it's better to laugh along with it than it is to sit there and and make it seem like it's all honky dory, because then we're being disingenuous to the viewer. I think if it's good to have a bit of fun with it and stuff, and try and make it as entertaining as possible for everybody. So I hope it wasn't too bad.
You guys delivered when the games came up to the right point, right? So like
that final was great. That was a great final.
And you got to look at like WSG as a whole. We already memed the fact about the seedings, how things are run, fucking issues with monitors not being good enough and stuff like that. It's like going back in time and how a tournament shouldn't be run. But overall, they did still give us some great Counter-Strike regardless.
Yeah.
You just got to wonder, MIBR, like, fuck is going on? Are you just being caught off guard and you're still not getting it? Or
I'm not
is it
sure.
Time?
I'm not sure what's happening with that team, right? I have to get my food from the door. I had something really important to say, but I'll be right back in approximately a minute.
Go get your food. We can continue. Don't worry. But yeah, for you guys, what did you guys
just like
right?
on the general WSG topic, I saw I think Victor tweeting, it was a perfect tournament, nothing wrong. Just like we're coming back next. It's like, okay, just take it easy. That is pushing it too far, definitely.
I heard Fnatic, like what Ago said in the interview, Fnatic like had a whole map where they didn't have the right monitors. Like, are we fucking serious?
Yeah.
You like, admittedly, okay, Fnatic probably should have checked that their monitors were in there. I guess we don't know the full details. But him to go out in an interview and say, like, yeah, they didn't have the right monitors, that just shows how fucked up it is. Like, you got all this money behind a big event. You've got some actual top-tier teams. We're getting to the final portions, and they're like, yes, the monitors are shit.
Yeah, because the semifinals and finals were in a different venue. I think the rest was played in the hotel in, like, a small stage, and then they went to the Olympic arena, whatever.
And that stage looked ridiculous, right? There's a lot of things you can look at it and go, okay, look, it's quite positive.
Yeah,
but it's just the actual running of it.
Yeah, but I think that was the first game in that, like, in the different venue on the small stage, and I guess it was somehow overlooked because, I mean, we can bash on them, of course, but at the same time, they have like 5 different games running at the same time. It's not something gets overlooked, but it is kind of it's just another thing that makes you go, okay,
We're just
this
very
tournament.
spoilt, right, in CS,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
sense that we do have a lot like ESLs, your star ladders, like your organizers who understand what we need, understand what the requirements are, and deliver on a consistent basis. And like you're just saying there, this is not an organizer who comes in and does multiple events, right? This is just they throw an event together once a year. This is end up what's happening. It's only going to be so good.
Yes.
I'm back. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's all right, chap. We didn't get onto MIBR. We waited for you to hold that fort so
Oh.
you could drop in.
It wasn't about MIBR. It was about the tournament as a whole.
Ah,
and a
okay,
lot
cool.
of
There we go.
people were asking questions along the lines of, oh, why isn't Astralis going, or why isn't this team there? A lot of people need to realize
Worth
that,
their time.
well, it's also the question mark of, look, $500,000 is a lot of money. I think it might have been a consideration for Astralis if they didn't have Blast Sao Paulo. You have to think about the travel right now that they're about to do. Have the major, a week off just to literally breathe. You're probably having a couple days off after the major, let's be honest. Then you have to travel all the way to China. That's not a fucking easy feat from anywhere in the world. Even from Australia. On the map, it looks like I'm close to China. Guess what? It's not. It's a long way. So for everybody, China's a long way. And then, finish the event, everybody's traveling today home. They have what? 24 hours, and then they have to get on another plane and go to Brazil. Go to Brazil. That's probably why,
Brazil.
NIP pulled out. That's probably why Ents pulled out. That's
Easy
probably a big factor.
20 hours of flight again.
Yeah, and it takes such a huge toll on your body. I know it sounds like such a diva or a little bitch thing to say, but flying, read up on it. Go out and have a good read on flying and what it actually does to you. The amount that these players fly, it's just going to take a physical toll on them. Look at pictures of me from 5 years ago and pictures of me now. I have aged at least fucking 10 years. I look like an ugly cunt now, whereas before I was tanned and quite sprightly looking. I was happy. I wasn't abusing everybody on the internet. This is what flying does to you guys. So I can understand why they skipped it.
I actually
travel
saw one of
sucks.
your like early picures about like
Doesn't
maybe
look
a
like me
couple of days ago. I thought you looked like a kid, man. I think you're aging pretty well.
That's a good thing.
Oh, dear.
I mean, okay.
No, this
I saw you interviewing like Kenny S at the HTC 2v2 invitational thing.
Oh yeah.
I just like went through the pictures and there you just look like, I don't know.
Had an extra like fucking 50 kilos on. Well,
Yeah,
that's when I was real comfortable in my relationship. You don't have to do anything. Everything's fine in life, you know. Girlfriend's
Doesn't
happy with
matter
you.
anymore.
You just do whatever the fuck you want. You get fat. So,
as we both say while eating takeaway.
mate, mine's salad. So I don't know what your excuse is.
Fuck's sake. Well, no, my excuse is I've been traveling. It's 10 a.m. Ukrainian time and it is now 7:30 p.m. UK time and I'm wrecked and I'm having a burrito and I'm enjoying that burrito. That's the way it is.
All right, MIBR.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not really worried about it. They lost to the team who played a fantastic tournament. Ships had definitely his biggest tournament ever.
Insane.
So I think to lose to that in that fashion, it's not great, but MIBR are clearly on the right track with their approach. You can see that they're doing a lot of things right. Hopefully that their mentality doesn't get too shook. Phelps looked like he was very upset with that loss, which is surprising. I guess maybe he feels like he's the symptom as to them not getting wins because of how, I guess, successful the core has been previously.
He also won the least amount of money, so maybe he just wants to get some.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like 500k. I'm buying like.
I'm gonna go buy a house. Let's go.
What car is like exciting nowadays? What car people like? I don't know, something.
Hyundai Getz.
Of course. Yeah, a Nissan Leaf electric car.
There we go.
A Tesla. Just say it.
No,
Fuck it.
no, let's not go down there. Oh god.
Can everybody just mute Tommy now? Because that motherfucker, he's not using the hashtags anymore. He's just retweeting shit. Tommy, stop fucking doing it.
I've just muted him a long time ago.
I muted him like right at the beginning because it was just I respect the dude, right? And he had some good insight on CS and some of the things the discussions he had were awesome. But now it's just not even worth following for that. Like it's like fuck my life. I'm just muting everything.
But I mean, a Tesla is actually like a Model S is actually around like that 100,000. So it's like, that kind of fits.
Yeah.
If you're buying a Tesla, you must be a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Can we not get into that, please? So why did I say
don't talk about Martin. That can reflect on your paycheck. Was that the picture? Oh,
Did Martin buy a Tesla? Are you serious?
Yes.
Martin has a Model S, yeah.
Okay. This is where people who work at HLTV need to step away from HLTV every now and again and look at real cars. There you go, Martin. That's for you, mate.
You're saving the environment. What are you about?
I'd buy a Tesla.
I'd buy a Tesla. Fuck it.
Fuck my
So there we
life.
go. Our producer is buying a Tesla.
Everyone's
You're-
buying
you
a
are-
Tesla. You get a Tesla.
You are outnumbered.
Yep. Okay. I like real cars. I'm not fucking around with that shit.
Just going back to the MIBR Windigo game, especially the third map on Overpass. I rewatched the Astralis MIBR from the major, and I watched that just one after another, and you see the difference in the way like Astralis plays. It's just the whole match is so different because these tier 1 teams actually respect each other and don't go for like CT side pushes all the time. So you can just you do like a mini default. You don't even like take map control that much. You go in front of B, you do a B execute. It works or it doesn't work, doesn't matter. And Windigo doesn't do that. Ships just goes, pushes A long, goes into connector, jumps out of connector, goes up the ladder from connector into T-spawn. Like, people don't do that on the top level. I guess that is just stuff that caught him off guard. Yeah. And Ships, even when he was expected, he still got the kills because he was just playing peak CS probably, and that's it. That's what made the win in my eyes.
The thing is, he can't do that. Hold up. Just let me try. Let me make sure that I say this correctly.
Are you saying it's a fluke?
I'm not saying it's a fluke. I'm saying that play style is not a sustainable way, and it should be countered very easily. I think the fact that in the interview that he did after the final, he definitely deserved that MVP. He was sick. Oh, yeah. But the thing he was saying, he just listened to the info. Now, just to give a bit of context for everybody, like the communication that's coming in from his teammates, they're calling how many players, what they're hearing, the nade usage, and from there he's making a decision. To make a decision like that round and round again, and for it to work out almost every single time, I'm pretty sure he didn't die, or maybe he did, but it felt like every time he pushed, he got at least 1 kill, right?
That's right, yeah.
When you're doing something like that and you're making it work, that's why I was so shocked, because you don't see it happen all the time. Even JW, when they were doing it in their prime, they weren't doing it every single round like what this kid just did, and it was fucking mind-blowing.
Well, Fair had his moments. Like, Fair had those moments. Yeah. On Overpass especially, like Fair on Overpass, like let's say 2 years ago, was just fucking the same thing. Like literally just you saw him at fountain every single round, and people didn't know what to do against him even then. Obviously, things have changed. He doesn't do it as much anymore because it just hasn't been working out that well for him. But it's just like he's actually been fairly similar.
Yeah, especially the G2 game. That was actually just was ridiculous. And
I
that
thought
was
it was
also
over.
Down to G2 just not being on point. I saw him just walking into crosshairs of people, and them. It's like they're not reacting. I don't know what's going on.
I felt like they had like a 2-second delay at point. So
that's how it felt. And he's just like,
watch it. You're like, I would shoot now.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yep, you're already dead. Good luck.
Yeah. At least like whiff on him. Just shoot. Just like try to kill him. It's like, no, 37-11. Okay.
There are a few like Ships he played great, right, as an individual player on that point of view, but there are a lot of caveats that go with it, with like the G2 match, because G2, for example, not really a team that you're going to expect much from when it came to it, right?
They played the best I've seen them play.
Yeah, but isn't that always what we see from these teams when they give up? Like when it's at the end of it all, they go, "Yep, we're playing really good now," and then we change a player, and then it all goes back to shit again. We've seen this over and over again.
Well, okay.
I just
they did play with a dead lineup though.
Yes.
Officially dead as well, so it's not like, well, whatever.
But the way that Kenny and Shox played in that game. Now, look, a lot of the games that I watched or commentated them were versus lower tier opponents, so they were easily going to be hyper aggressive. But when they started playing against teams of a better caliber, they were still doing the same thing. And sure, it weighs into the factor that, hey, this is the last tournament, but they didn't play to the point where they were disrespectful. You know, they were still playing a respectful style, but they were being confident. That's what you want from Shox and Kenny. I was really happy with the contribution from Jackson Lucky as well. And Body had some games, really good games, entry fragging. So it's going to be curious how the dynamic changes when Amanek joins the team. But all in all, it was a really good showing, I thought, at least from G2, who could have actually won that series, right? That Cage game, they probably should have won it.
Yeah, probably definitely should have won it. But what can we do now? Then Windigo goes into the final, plays against Ago. The Ago Fnatic game, I don't know what happened there. That was, as we said, the 16-0 monitors, okay, but at the same time...
It was fixed after the first map,
you still don't get 16-0'd by a team like Ago. I feel like it must... Either it was like really bad, it was much worse than what it was portrayed like with the monitors, Or I don't know. It's just
If
like
it-
you don't get 16-0'd by it.
Also, props to fnatic for not saying anything.
Exactly. If it was
Yeah.
that bad,
I mean-
you'd change it within the first 3 to 5 rounds. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, how you would just pause and fucking just like get over it, whatever.
I think it's just they weren't bothered, right? It was WSG.
I
It's one of
don't.
them
I
things.
don't. I feel like, especially with like the events that they've been to, and whatever JW told me in an interview at the major, where he said like the negative stuff from like an event like PLG, where obviously the conditions weren't really up to par with any sort of standards. So it's like based on those experiences, you would think they would learn, right? And they would be able to like whatever pause the match, even like halfway through, and just ask for actual monitors, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like they would have done that, unless like either they were like ultra tilted like halfway through the game, they didn't want to even do that, or I'm not sure what happened there.
Do we
I
think
don't know.
Fnatic's dead, but you reckon they're changing roster?
Do we think
You
they'll
asked me
change their
this. You
roster?
asked me this last
need
time,
to.
and I
Yeah.
said no.
What do you think now?
Yes.
I think it's hard. It's hard to go. I mean, this is like the second tournament in a row that they kind of bombed out at a lot, like big time. That they lost to somebody that they shouldn't have.
Think
I
about
mean-
their run, man. I'll bring it up. Let me just get
Oh,
this.
yeah,
This
they
is-
also
it's,
lost.
It's
They lost
so
the map
bad.
to Windigo as well, by the way. In
And the map
group
to
stage.
Movistar
And a
as
map
well.
to
Both on
Movistar, yeah.
Overpass.
Check this out, right? So we'll go from the major. So I by Power Masters, everybody was shit. I don't even give a fuck. That event, that is where we got sold some fucking real bullshit. That event and the E-League event was. Next time, if there's an event at the start of the year before the major, I'm not even going to watch them
Doesn't-
because that
yeah.
it doesn't mean,
I mean-
anything.
I did say that though. I really did say that. But like the eye by power, you can completely disregard.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when we move into the major, okay, opening game, a best of 1, you lose to Vici 16-9. All right, well, yeah, I guess best of 1, Vici Gaming coming
They're a
out
bit
swinging,
random,
the
yeah.
underdog factor, higher seeded team versus the lower seeded team. All right, that's a little bit worrisome. All right, play Windstrike. Windstrike, where are you putting them? Probably not beating the highest seeded team in the Challenger Series on train 16-11. Now they go and play Greyhound. Let me just bring this up. This was fucking insane to me. I'm pretty sure that Greyhound pushed them on a map to like 12 rounds or something. Yeah, here we go. So
Yeah.
16-9
Yeah,
and
that's very
16-11. So they're like games that they're not blowouts. That's not blowout victories, right? That's Greyhound actually keeping them relatively honest. Okay, so they won that. They go forward. They lose to G2, who G2 hadn't impressed anybody by this stage. Everyone was like, well, G2 fucking suck. To G2 in the best of 3, it was 2-1, so at least they won a map. Okay, they're out. They're done. Now we move into this event where they should still have all the strategies and everything they prepared, their map pool, all that kind of shit. It should have been prepared for the major, the biggest tournament of the year. They go in and they split maps with Windigo. They split maps with Movistar Riders. They they beat Russia, but that's another game that's not convincing. They beat OpTic, not convincing. And then they lose to Ago. These aren't fucking contenders by any means. Like, what is going on? Their map pool is so shit, by the way.
Yeah.
I can't believe how bad it is.
I'm going back to say what we
They
said before.
constantly play Overpass and they lose to everyone.
Games
like-
exist. I said last time, you guys were like, no.
Oh, well.
Oh, he's not the problem. Yada, yada, yada.
His veto wasn't bad. People were questioning his veto on Reddit.
Oh, no,
reading it
that's just bullshit, though, because they're just using that as, like, old hat. He
I'm
was
reading
shit
it.
at it before. He can improve, but he's still not a good fucking player, and he should have retired.
It's that there's just no depth to their map pool. That's the problem.
Nothing.
His vetoes were fine. It's just they didn't have any depth to their map pools. Like when your two best maps are Inferno and Mirage, which are the two best maps of what, like fucking
Many.
75% of the
And
Counter Strike.
especially-
And every
these, like,
tier 2 and tier
low
3
tier,
team
yeah.
in the world.
So
I mean,
it's like,
literally
it's nothing.
everybody plays Inferno to a decent level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least, like everybody plays Inferno a lot because it's just the map everybody plays. It's nobody's like worst maps. It's very few teams like best map, so everybody just plays it.
It's got to be like one of the most picked decider fucking maps in the best of 3 as
Yeah.
well. Like, always in fact.
It's just literally. I can't think of one team that actually doesn't play it, like on a top tier, a top tier level.
The LDLC team didn't.
Oh well,
didn't
okay,
play it
but
with-
that's a
with
team that
Alex and those guys.
barely saw anywhere. I'm just thinking about like any team that we actually see like regularly. If there's anybody that doesn't play Inferno, I don't think so.
No.
Hold up, is my fucking clock broken or is it actually 10-9 already?
Yep,
Yep,
What
it's 10 to 9,
the
man.
fuck?
Yep.
it's going quickly.
Anything we want to really close out on WSG then? Because Chad is making us
Agro,
realize
what about
we are.
Agro? I felt like I saw the Fnatic game. Obviously, like Inferno, whatever Aster is next to that potentially. But I actually saw some promise in Algo, like in the way they played, because it was kind of aggressive, like especially that final against Windigo. It was just like blow for blow, aggressive Counter Strike, really hype. So that's like it's not sustainable CS, but they still did it in a way that made sense. I still thought that they actually played in a way that made sense, and they did their aggression in a way that made sense. It's just like pretty well thought out, at least.
So do we think these two teams can actually go somewhere in the future? Argo and Windigo. That's the thing.
Players on Windigo, yes.
Yeah.
They can be refined as the rest of the team. Is it true they're all like they're either open to offers or free agents now? What's the deal with them?
Meanwhile, they kind of said that they found a way to make an agreement with the organization. Okay. That's what they said at WESG.
What, by keeping all of the WESG money to themselves?
No,
your salary.
Hopefully.
Hold on, I've got Ships' statement here. 1 sec.
There we go.
Okay.
Any last words? Shout out to the organization Windigo. We had some problems, but we managed to fix all of it, and we signed new contracts, so we'll stay together. Also, thanks to Bulgarian fans and to my family. If they signed contracts in the middle of that tournament, that is the fucking dumbest thing they've probably ever done. Because winning this year,
they had a boot camp before the tournament, so they must have signed it before.
Hopefully before.
Sure.
They're not going to be paying their own boot camp. I really doubt that.
One quick point on Ego. I think that GG.BET probably won't get as much credit as he probably deserves for the performances that he did have. He was very good throughout. So GG.BET, fantastic tournament from him. And your question of where do we think it can continue? I think that they can both be top 20 teams. I know that they're in the top 20 right now, but I mean they can consistently probably be top 20 teams just based on the fact that they're in Europe, right? They're going to have a lot more tournaments to play, and they could potentially hold these positions. It's going to be interesting for Windigo in Pro League coming up.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a big tell for sure, because now comes the time where Windigo are actually like in the spotlight. Yeah. People are actually going to look at how they play. They are going to play at some bigger tournament. I mean, namely Pro League. That's the main thing that's coming up, as you said. So this is the time for Windigo to kind of actually prove themselves among the top tier.
There's one very important thing to note. They just won $500,000. Their motivation is like down. No one gives a fuck about anything. Right now, the next month, they're going to be worse than they were. Before this tournament, they were kind of shit. So I don't know. Can they be worse than that? Probably not. But they won't be good at Pro League, 100%.
This is where they get the phone calls from their like second cousin and their best friend from high school and shit. Like, hey, listen, man. Can we hang out? Hey, fuck off. So the parents are like, hey man, can you help us out with our mortgage? You didn't support my Counter-Strike career at all, motherfucker.
Yes.
Sounds like you've been there, mate. Sounds like something's happened.
No, my dad and I, we didn't see eye to eye, but then when I became professional, it kind of all changed. So that's fair enough.
I mean, that's the case for most players, though. I feel like everybody is bumping heads with their parents. As they're kind of like trying to make it, and as they do, the parents obviously budge, because like, what are they gonna do? Like, you're actually successful at something and earning like a pretty good buck from it. So what are they gonna say?
Hey, I remember.
No, you should still stop it. It's not sustainable. Whatever.
Back in 2003, I won a tiny little UK event, bought £100 back, and I got told I was obviously selling drugs, and there was no way I won it from fucking games. I was like, sound. I was like, cheers, thanks for that. Like, good belief. So the LAN centre had to ring my parents to say that they'd actually given me the money. Like, are we real? Like, is this actually what I'm going through?
I think I heard similar stories, but I don't remember from where or from who. But I heard similar stuff.
I said it in one of them video things I've done before. One of them like profile fucking things, whatever they were. But yeah, back then you used to have to get your fucking parents to sign your slip to let you go to like the LANs, because I was like 13 or 14, and that was always a good fucking like, have you done all your homework? Are you doing well at school? Yada yada yada, and then you might be able to go. But when you make some money, it all changes.
Pretty much. Good old money. Money moves everything.
Money makes the world turn round. All right, we're going to go and do the favourite part of the show. It is turning into my favourite part of the show over and over again. We're going to go on to our GG.BET Masterbettor. And, Prof, did you make Strike eat it last week as Chili's? Have we seen this? Did I miss out?
You didn't see it?
Oh, no, I don't need to go back and watch it. Dude, I've been just literally, I've been non-stop in Ukraine.
It was.
You're gonna. I think
I'm gonna
the guys
enjoy this, am I?
will attest to my
Was
to
this
my
good?
demise basically.
It was actually. I thought it would be worse, but it was pretty enjoyable to see him suffer, especially because it lasted like 2-3 minutes. Me and Sponge wanted to like talk
10,
about
dude.
different
It was
topics,
like
and it was just
10.
like fucking bitch, just like interrupting all the time. It was amusing.
It was good.
Oh man,
It was like 5 minutes straight that I was just like in agony. That was pretty
Lucas, get me the link. Put the link in chat somewhere so that everyone can watch it if they missed out on it. Yes, this is the one. So, how is it going for you now, though?
He's
Where
winning.
are we at?
He's winning.
I'm,
He's
I'm-
actually in the lead.
I'm extending my lead.
What?
He
It's
extended his
turned
lead.
around.
I lost.
both
the second
of us
slip.
losing,
we both,
but I
exactly.
lost.
We both lost the second slip, but I still extended my lead because
Striker
he went for max bet, I didn't.
overconfidence is actually paying off.
What? I can't read your. What are you on?
You're on
473,
473 and
yeah.
390.
That's cheating.
what?
Oh, look at this. The winner turns around. Not
And I
cheating.
didn't bet like bullshit things like $20 like you did last season, dude. Like I actually bet $60.
Sorry, I bet 11 WSG matches. So I should put like max bet on that.
That's fair enough, actually. Oh yeah, that's by the way what fucked me was the MIBR match. But also, didn't we have? What else did we have? I think I fucked up on something else.
I
as well
lost
because
like on NRG losing to Complexity and
Oh, well,
also WSG, all of the matches like MIBR and Fnatic. No, MIBR, Fnatic didn't fuck up the first one. MIBR also fucked me.
Did
so
you go for safe
did the
bets
same.
and that failed?
yeah, we have fairly similar, like at least in terms of WSG, we both failed in MIBR, so like that's kind of fair enough. Like
Or
nobody
did you have them
expected
down
that.
to win it, or what was it?
No, it was just to win against Windigo, I think. Or
Yeah.
wait, was it?
Yeah, MIBR
it was.
Windigo fucked us both.
Yeah,
You know what we need? I only thought of this now. Is Lucas, or you guys can't hear Lucas, but we need to get a giant. Well, it doesn't have to be giant; it can just be regular size. But the trophy needs to be a penis. Well, it's the Masterbettor, which is like Masturbator,
Yep.
right?
Never
By the way, change
thought
the-
of that.
Right.
Begs, change the topic, by the way, because there's another. I mean,
Oh,
okay.
there we go.
It's
'Cause I was just
Slider.
like hoping for people to notice that, and nobody does.
Yeah,
Don't
so
worry.
we could get like some trophies made that are shaped like penises. What do we reckon? That could be the move forward.
And then I have like 5 of them back behind my team.
The HLTV Masterbettor penis.
Yes.
Sponsored by
Season 1
GG.BET. We're putting the
winner.
money in the right places to make golden dicks for Prof to have on his mantelpiece. The only thing he's going to win anytime soon.
Mantelpiece?
least
He's in Croatia, dude. There's no mantelpieces in Croatia. Why would you have a fireplace inside the house?
Okay. Well, he might have a
Some
mantelpiece
people
just
do
for
have
trophies.
still.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
fair
There
enough.
you
There's
go,
actually
Striker.
mantelpieces, but like without any fireplace or whatever. So okay,
Just be quiet now.
I've
Striker.
been defeated.
Yep, just
Let's go into
go
the
to the
bets.
bets, mate.
Yeah,
just go
let's
to the
go.
bets. You flopped this one. Nice.
You gonna start, Prof?
I
Tried
guess
last time.
I again went for 90 euros, and I took 2 ECS matches. I bet on Mouse Sports. This is
You're
by the way,
being suicidal, dude.
GG.BET sponsored. Obviously playing with house money just between us. Where's my 3rd bet? 4th bet? What is this? What are you doing? Yeah, I bet on Vitality to win against LDLC 2-0. LDLC is playing with Sixer as their stand-in. Moving on to the next match.
They've already won the first map, by the way, so that's good signs.
Going good.
Who won the first match? First map?
Vitality.
Vitality.
16
Oh, Vitality.
So
Did.
I went for Mouse Sports to beat Fnatic, even though it's their first match, just because Fnatic, as we just talked about, they have been playing like shit pretty much, and they also literally just flew in from China. I saw a tweet from Exist an hour ago. Is like, just arrived home, using some Monster Energy at Monster Energy, whatever the fuck. So I don't
swear to
think
God,
they
this is
can.
the best that will fuck you just because it doesn't make any sense. This is the best that will go against.
I mean, it is kind of risky, but I was like, okay. And then I did two Sao Paulo matches, which is both MIBR and Astralis to beat Ents, because I think Ents is also in the post good major result slump, and they're probably haven't
You just hate
practiced that
ends,
much.
really, don't you, Prof? At
What?
this point.
I'm just an Ents hater.
Yep. You're
I
like,
just hate every single
I hate
guy on
them.
that team.
la da da da.
No, but I think This is
Clip it,
probably
chat.
going to be their rough event before they kind of go back into playing decently and stuff like that.
This will be their rough event before they get sunny.
Yeah, potentially.
If they have the money. That rhymes.
The sunny money. And
You can make a lot here.
Yeah, it's like kind of risky, but not too risky. Let's see how it goes.
I mean, he's got worse odds than I do, and I have 4 matches, actually. I'm a little bit riskier, I think, especially because of 1 match. I mean, you can show it now. I basically only went for Sao Paulo because fuck online matches. I'm not, like, I've been burned too many times to bet on online matches, but I have a different option.
But you're betting on best of ones as well. That potentially don't mean anything.
Yeah, sure.
Much
that's
better.
True. That's the only problem. That I was just making sure that I don't bet on like the late matches. I think only Astralis and Nip, if I'm not mistaken, is like one of the late matches where like things are probably going to be already decided. I actually made sure I didn't do that because the late matches usually there are like some that just don't matter for at least one side or both potentially. Like in the last rounds, usually we had that happen in these 16 best of 1 round robins.
What?
I'm signaling to the camera now. While this is happening, Lucas, can you head over to DK's Twitter? It was come up 3 minutes ago. Get the tweet ready, and we'll do this after the betting segment.
Okay. I'm just gonna run through this. Astralis to beat ends fairly obvious. FaZe and NIP is actually the risky one. I actually went for NIP to beat FaZe. I think FaZe still had fairly low odds though. I mean, fairly high. They had something like 1.9 or something. It was fairly close between the two, or even 2.0, I think. And NIP had 2.22. I just feel like this is like the type of honeymoon period for NIP. NIP also won the online match against them just in the ECS season as well. Yeah. So I feel like there's a pretty good chance of NIP winning that match. FaZe just generally haven't really convinced me of anything, and NIP just getting in Drake. And I think this is going to be like the honeymoon period, and they could actually do pretty well in Sao Paulo. Maybe not make the final, but at least they could like take down some teams that they potentially aren't supposed to. And Liquid to beat Ents. I kind of agree with you, Prof. Although I didn't go for like the MIBR Ents, I feel like that's quite close to 50-50. I think Liquid, despite the major results, I think that they will just learn from that and they will not do that twice in a row. I don't think that's going to happen because they should have.
They did also lose online to. Who did they lose to? Rogue?
You're talking about Liquid?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't like to put stock into online matches too much, honestly. I feel like that's just been misleading us too much for a long period of time. Oh, I mean, whatever. Astralis to beat Nip to close it out. Again, fairly obvious. I feel like Astralis to go 5-0. I obviously didn't want to go pick them in like 4 matches in a row because obviously they could just lose one best of 1. It could happen even to a team like Astralis. It has happened to a team like Astralis. So I didn't want to bet too much on them, but I feel like NIP will just not have the team play to kind of beat Astralis on their home turf, and the same with Ents.
Yeah, I mean it's
the NIP phase 1 is a little bit worrying.
I feel like
that's
the biggest risk, right?
Yeah.
At the same, I kind of agree. I think NIP is going to have a decent tournament just because they're historically do that with stand-ins. They did it with Michael at Star Series Season 2 when they won it. They did it when Pyth came back, so they won IEM Oakland. So I don't know if they're going to win this, but I think they're going to be playing better than in the past, even though I don't put a lot of stock into this lineup.
Yeah, same. Agreed. Yeah, it's the total odds to 5 point something, 5.33, and I bet 50 on that. So if we both win, I think we're going to be fairly even in the end, or close to it.
Something like that.
So we'll see.
That's like you guys will level up a little bit closer to each other.
Yeah, we're going to be very close to each other, like $20.
At least it's a bit more competitive this time, Striker.
If we lose, I just extend. Even if we both lose, I just extend my lead because he's just betting more than me. So easy enough.
Well, guess what, guys? We're going back in time. We got some breaking news. All right, so DK got a response from Valve. It says, Zelsis has the slot and Golden doesn't, as many people had assumed. People I spoke to behind the scenes were very confident Golden was eligible. My intent was to relay this sentiment. So it seems like he has actually emailed Valve, and I'm going to read this out for anyone that can't see it. It says, hi DK. I love how they call him DK as well. Thanks for reaching out. Below, I've attached the invitation requirements we're using for the next CSGO Major Championships. The requirements get updated occasionally when there's a format change at the Major, but the fundamental details are the same. We invite groups of players that demonstrated success when they played together at the previous Major. And then it goes 1 or point 1, license. Licensee will invite 24 teams to participate at the major tournament. Direct preliminary stage invitations will be extended to 6 or 3 or more players who played together in the previous CSGO major tournament. Won at least one match during the group stage but did not advance to the quarterfinals, i.e. returning challengers. B. Direct preliminary stage invitations will be extended to the 8 teams of exactly 5 players who played together and placed first or second at one of the preceding minor tournaments, and the 2 teams that place first or second in the minor play-in, i.e. new challengers. And then C, a direct group stage invitation will be extended to the 8 teams or 3 or more players who played together and advanced to the quarterfinals in the previous CSGO major tournaments, i.e. Legends. I love how he's got a response from Valve though, because in a lot of things they don't talk on, we get that.
Can I just point at something? They called it the group stage.
Yes.
Can we just acknowledge that?
Well, you guys
terminologies
can sit
are
on your
fucked.
fucking high horse all you want. You understand? You guys have to understand from a perspective of a market why they've done it with the different names. I know it's confusing as fuck, but it's meant to appeal.
I understand.
But they
all
are
of it.
confused by
it's
it. That's
just
the thing.
The thing is, they are not using, even in official, like this is, let's say this is not technically official capacity, right? They're just replying to a fairly
but they are using it in
part.
the brackets. In example, returning challenger. Is that like something ESL then is doing? Because they're not referring it to it as it. So I don't know.
I don't know. But either way, we have the answer to the question, and that is in fact confirmation. HLTV confirmed.
Yes. Again, I was right.
Yeah. I mean, it was to be fair, like he's right. It was stupid to say clarified, because that just made it sound like he actually got it from official channels, which he obviously didn't. He just got it from whatever, from behind the scenes, which was not the case.
Literally only two, well, maybe 3, but there's only a very small group that would have been able to give proper clarification. First, it would have been Valve. Then below that, it would have been StarLadder. Then below that, it would have been Cloud9 if they spoke to Valve, or StarLadder, and then maybe the Player Association if they had spoken to Valve. They're the only people, and if you didn't have anything like in writing from those, then it's not confirmed, because we all know how the rules were previously. So it's like, basically what that did was it made us think that the rules were changing going forward. That's all I thought. I didn't think, so it's good to know that they can't actually they can still exploit it, right? They could do that whole flusher situation, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, right? Someone said, so C9 don't have the major spot without Kyozas or Flusher. And DK's response was they could probably do the coach swap thing again and get Golden back in. Well, hopefully that can fucking change.
Yeah, we don't want that.
We just don't want that to happen, because that's just like, there's literally no point in the fucking system there. Just let anyone play with whoever they want.
Yeah. The whole thing is that no one profits when misinformation gets out, and then people think like Valve has stupid rules, and then someone else tweets about how the rule is stupid and doesn't make any sense, blah blah. So people just start bashing on Valve again for no reason, for no fault of their own. So just not a fan of that things, but okay, it got clarified. That I'm happy.
Yeah, we made a step forward.
Cool.
Let's go on to our Blast Sao Paulo preview. And the text says, could end surprise again. Because I wasn't here to do it, this is where we've come up. I know what Prof is going to say. No, I probably know what Sponge has to say in a roundabout way when it comes to it. As for Striker on it, the main thing for me, and I'm going to start this off, because I like Blast. I find it a really fun event. I've been there, like, in terms of attending to watch it. I know you guys have been there as press. Chad, you've worked them. It's a different style of event. It's a good lot of fun. But how much weight do we put into some of the games? Because for me, some of the opening games and the best ones we see, I'm like, yep, cool, good focus on that. It gives me a somewhat of an idea where teams are at. But the only real one I go, okay, I can take a lot away from this is the grand final, for me personally. Where do you guys sit with that?
Okay, so Blast with this really it really caters to the live audience. I think that's something like obviously the Counter-Strike here, we'll get to that point in a second, but just so people can kind of understand, when you look at Blast and the tournament being over so quickly, you're like, oh, why don't they run a tournament like ESL, or why don't they run a tournament like Starladder? The whole premise behind Blast exactly is to put a spectacle in an arena and entertain people for a decent chunk of the day with high intensity and constant games, and really just giving you that feeling that you don't have to.
Can I mention one thing on this? Do you remember when we were all stood there for the first one in Copenhagen side by side, and that was probably the only time I'd seen everyone of all of us be so fucking hyped for looking at one of these things when we've sat in many of these situations and stadiums before? Yeah, like it actually was something where you could go, my God, this is different, this is next level, and it was impressive. So yeah, that live audience thing, if you've never been to a Blast and you get a chance to go, you should go just for that fact.
I think that, yeah, it's such a good thing for a live audience, and it doesn't take as, you're not having to focus on the tournament for the entire week, right? You need to follow what happens in the group stages. You don't need to worry what happens in the quarters or the semis. You're just worried about what's happening on that day, basically. Sure, there's best of one matches the day before. It can be a little bit confusing with the best of one situation, and other people are like, oh, the format needs to change. It can't really change. It can't really change without more without more days being added. So, all in all, in terms of the weight we put on the matches, it's really good to see teams like Astralis and Liquid go toe-to-toe. MIBR, they're in this challenge, the same as FaZe. I think that there's value because these are the teams that we look as the top dogs in the world. Now, we go in expecting Astralis to win. Now, we've done that several times, and they haven't won all of the Blast events, that's for sure. Yeah. And if they do lose, then people, they're like, oh, cool, Astralis can bleed. So it's good from a story perspective. It's good from a toe-to-toe in terms of getting to see them go up against each other in maps. But I guess I haven't seen the veto come out yet, which means maybe they're going to veto live now? Previously, they vetoed ahead of time, right?
Yeah, it was ahead of time at least before.
I haven't seen it. I may have missed it.
I mean, if anything, this is the type of an event Astralis will be, I'm going to say, the least favored at.
Yes.
That's the way I'm going to put it. Just because it basically takes like one tie and a loss, as they did in Istanbul. Was it?
Copenhagen.
Istanbul? No, Copenhagen. I'm sorry. Yeah, they won Istanbul. That's the thing. Like that's what happened to them in Copenhagen, where they lost to NIP. And they tied another team, as far as I remember. I can't remember exactly. And I think that cost them a spot in the final.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not wrong in this, but it's just generally like very little. It takes very little for them not to be in the final compared to other events where they're guaranteed to play at least one best of three, or maybe even two. At most ESL, I mean, at least at ESL events, they always get to play a couple of best of threes. At majors, they get to play best of threes. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. So this is the type of an event where I would favor Astralis the least because of the best of one matches and because of it being just the regular round robin.
I mean, with this lineup, they played 3 Blasts, they won 2, and they finished 3rd in 1. So the 2 times they got to the grand final, they won it. And that's kind of what we're expecting again. Of course, like best of ones, stuff can happen, even though I hate the excuse about best of ones. But yeah, I mean, all of the teams here are pretty good, so it's not a shame to lose to them in one map.
I think the coolest thing here is if it all works out in the wash, right? If lots of close games, whatever. But if we end up with Astralis versus Liquid as the final, then we get to see what Liquid have prepared for Astralis in the major. Now, you're going to be like, oh, but are they going to use everything in their playbook? Why the fuck not? I would take any opportunity I can to try and beat Astralis. I wouldn't be saving it for another tournament. I'd just try and win. Every single time I went up against them, if I was Liquid, I'd just be like, fuck these guys. Let's do it. Let's get the victory. And you can imagine how much they would have prepped. This was something that I think that people maybe wouldn't have been so cognizant of during the major. Now, sure, it's not ideal that Liquid and Na'Vi lost to ENCE because, let's say, that they underestimated them. I don't know if they did, but let's say that they did. And they were probably just focused on the big dogs, right? Liquid knew that they had to beat Na'Vi to get to Astralis, and Astralis was the one to take home the fucking big slice of the cake. They would have put a lot of prep work into how they were going to beat Astralis, and that prep work doesn't disappear. That's not gone. That's still there. That's in the back pocket. They still have that festering right now. So if they can get to that position and just pull it out and be able to show a really good showing for against Astralis, what that means is, sure, it's great for the event in itself. It's exciting in that moment, but it actually sets up the rest of the year in the sense of, oh shit, they actually did it at a legit tournament. They did it in a position where it's in front of thousands of people watching because it's going to be in Brazil. the crowd there is insane. It's so good when you go to those type of events. I don't want to harp on the crowd. We always do it at all the tournaments, but it's so loud at these type of events that it affects you. I don't give a fuck what people think.
I've been in Sao Paulo. I was there for the Pro League, and that was that was a really crazy crowd. That was like on par with Katowice and Krakow, basically. That's how good that crowd is.
Even the crowd in Lisbon was very loud.
Lisbon,
right?
Lisbon was actually very similar. I mean, they just have very similar cultures. They're just very passionate, so that's a very similar crowd, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that it actually builds a lot of storylines going forward. Like, this could slowly start to be the demise for certain teams. It's interesting for NIP in the sense of, if they do good with Draken, well, then what does that mean for Dennis? If they don't do good at all, and Fnatic's in a bit of disarray, and now they're fucking, people are sliding into DMs saying, hey, man, you want to come here, or you want to do this? Lots of cool things could happen with the Swedish scene. Obviously, Liquid need to get things done. Otherwise, I don't know how long their mental fortitude as a squad is going to last. That's another problem for them. Astralis just needs to keep being the best team in the world. FaZe Clan, you only get so many shots at greatness, right? At some point, they're going to look at this and go, okay, well, do we now change up the project again if we want to be the best team in the world? Things aren't working.
Look, we don't know what's happening with Adren after this event.
Yeah, nothing's come out yet, right?
Or actually, they're going to start series with Adren. I actually confirmed that with niko.
Okay.
At the major.
Then surely.
I think Star Series is the last event that he kind of said that they were going to attend with Adren.
We'll see. Yeah, definitely. I have decent hopes for MIBR here. We'll talk about it. Actually, we can transition into the fantasy whenever you want, because I think we kind of covered it. But still,
we're kind
other
of
than that,
right?
NIP, nothing. FaZe, yeah, you covered literally everything. It's not going to do well. Rough.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Prof. I'm with you, man. People are going to call us haters, but fuck those people. They're just fanboys who believe in fucking tribalism and can't see the fucking forest for the trees. Fuck y'all. Anyway.
Let them have some hope,
Chad.
It's important
to say that they could still play very close with everybody, but
of course
this
is
just like it would take like another like semi-miracle for them to make the final.
Yeah.
But I think as well, right?
All the world's best.
You get a taste of what they had, and this is where the Sunny thing does make more sense when we come back to that, because you get a taste of what you had. All right, we weren't going to change anything before because we were progressing on a good level. Now we fucking peaked massively. We had a good run, but we then fall back down. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Now we should probably make a change.
Reality hits hard, right?
We'll wait and see. It's like a rise and then a fucking...
I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to play okay, at least. Like they should be
There's
on par with most of these teams.
At Blast events, you either make the grand final or you don't.
Well,
you do the City Showmatch thing.
No, if you finish third as an ENCE team and you beat you beat anybody but Astralis and Liquid, is that a bad thing? Did they still prove that they're better than whatever?
Yeah.
FaZe MIBR and IP. That's not.
They can get some legit best of one wins. Yeah.
They could still that's just best of one wins.
I can see them
beating
FaZe and NIP potentially, but Liquid, Astralis, and MIBR, I think it's out of reach.
I'm down to see the Liquid one. I don't think MIBR would be possible.
It's going to be curious with the map pools as well to see what teams are really starting to favour here, because we didn't get a true indication from MIBR yet where they've settled into. Obviously, NIP is going to be, who knows? Like, that one's going to be a real interesting one.
They're just going to play whatever, I feel like. They're just going to play everything that they played before. Draken already played with them before. So this is not going to be that different. I feel like maybe they'll swap around a little bit, but generally this is not completely new for them. Sure, it's a different lineup than what they played with before, but still, it's.
I think just quickly, Astralis are going to be playing a lot of Train and Overpass because they're going to ban out Keisha Mirage. Everyone else is. I swear to God, if teams are not banning Inferno and Nuke at this tournament versus them, then what the fuck are you even doing? So then I think it's probably going to be a lot of Train and Overpasses, the remainders in this situation.
Well,
Overpass isn't that sick. I think.
Yeah, I'm forgetting a map here. Keisha Mirage. I do a little thing. I do an acronym. Dust 2. Train Overpass Dust 2. It'll be those.
What's the acronym?
Montic, but it's now Monticked. It used to be Montic with 2 C's because occasion cobble, and someone on Twitter actually tweeted at me. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It stuck with me. MONTICD.
Like it.
Why is that? Okay, never mind.
I don't know. It just stuck in my head.
Some people just learn that way, Strike. That's how they hold on to it.
No, I mean, if it made sense, if the actual word made sense, I would understand. It's just like it's just like random letters.
Yeah, it's just random letters. Yeah.
It's easier.
It doesn't.
It's not that bad.
Okay. It's
I think-
like
I think
as
I
long
might
as you
be.
as long as you put it together.
Striker
then
is
yeah,
trying
sure.
to apply
I'll
too much
remember it.
logic to this
Look, the problem is like
situation.
the thing is like next time I forget a map, I'm just gonna go to that because that's gonna get stuck in my head. So I guess it works.
See, it's worked already. You've just you slated it, and now you've come full circle.
That's
Oh,
what
actually, I will remember it. Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Just because it's stupid and because it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna remember it.
There we
Because that's
go.
my how brains work.
Mouseport 7-1 up against Fnatic on Dust 2, by the way. Next
Fro-
map,
Frozen's
Inferno.
beasting so far.
I mean,
Okay. Fuck, I have to rewatch that. I really wanted to watch that live. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I've
There's
got
a
it
lot
on
of
the- I've got it
pressure
the
on
side.
Lucas here right now.
Yeah, okay, so it is HLTV Fantasy time now. Guys, if you have not headed over to it, we've got Fantasy over at HLTV now. So you go hltv.org/fantasy. I'm sure Prof or Strike or someone can spam it in the chat. You can get involved and play your own little fantasy series with your friends, get those bragging rights, and say, okay, I think the tournament's going to go this way, for example. And that's what we're going to do here, and we're going to do it for Sao Paulo.
did any of you guys play like fantasy football?
Yes, football I've done.
FPL, like Premiership or what?
Just like we used to do at work. So in UK, it's very common to do fantasy football at work and then have a prize pot at the end.
Yeah. You guys know?
I did I
didn't.
played the Dream Team back in 1.6 days.
same.
I never have done any fantasy drafting like this before.
Same.
All right, here we go. We've got this up.
All right, I'm signing up.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
same.
just
All right, guys, bear with us one moment. So basically, give you guys a rundown of this. The link is, no, we're not going to give you our link, but you can make, this is for your friends. The Dream Team that used to be around at HLTV.org was for everybody. It was massive leagues, there was prizes, all that kind of stuff was going on. But this is more of a community-based thing to do with your buddies, your pals. If you don't have any buddies and pals, head over to Reddit. I see lots of threads over there. But basically, the concept is HLTV.org/fantasy, and you draft within tournaments. So you can't pick the same players. And I believe it was being explained to me earlier, we're going to go through this now, but it's randomized who picks first. And we're going to have Lucas, our producer, in here picking as well. So there's going to be 5 of us. And we're all going to go through and pick in rounds of players and form teams. There's also roles. You can attribute those roles to certain players, and they give different plus minuses depending on how they go in those roles. And the cool thing with this is it's kind of like a prediction game, but you're doing it based off of a little bit more. So you have to think about the results that they're going to have other opponents. It's not just simple, oh, well, Niko's fucking sick, I'm going to pick him. You have to consider all other factors. So this is a fun little thing that HLTV.org have brought around, and we're going to be giving you a bit of a rundown.
And the thing is, this is incredibly fun. If you've never done a fantasy and you're into esports, this is the way to do it, because it's like mostly just like good old bully times back and forth, because you can be a fan of one team in particular, but this helps you put some stock into different players and things like that. And when it comes to football on goal scoring and that side of things, it's fucking nuts. So this is going to be very interesting how this goes down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Banks and Sponge, you should open the draft. Just like open it so you're
open
inside
draft.
it,
Okay,
actually.
cool. Yep, I'm here.
That is important, so you can actually pick the.
Oh, we can talk to each other. This is cool.
Hey, that's cool.
And the order is.
I
Whatever.
started off strong, didn't I? That was smooth.
Look, we already the if you saw the introduction video and the article, that actually says bitch there, so it's like we're just doubling down.
There you go. I'm there. Who's Jaden?
I want to
me.
mute the sound though. It's pretty stupid.
I used
Nups.
to have a...
See,
The
Bex,
sound is sick. I love the
even
sound.
Bex didn't realize what that means. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I used to have Sponge on HLTV.org, but I changed it so that people wouldn't harass me. And now everyone knows. So.
Is that a
I'm
recent?
the idiot that goes
Is that a
around
recent
fucking comments
development,
back at
Sponge?
people.
No, this was back in the day. This was years
Okay.
ago.
You know what, for all the people on HLTV website, when you I see your shits in the comments, I'm fucking always
Oh dear!
back. Oh no.
Of course, he gets the first pick. Fuck.
Oh,
Of course, I'm
dear.
last.
Oh dear.
I don't know. Wait, where is?
How long do I have? Is there a timer?
It says 37 seconds.
seconds
Oh
on top right.
shit. Okay. This is.
By the way, for Blast, since there are only 6 teams, you can only have 6 users in a league. That's what a lot of people have been confused about. But for bigger tournaments, you can have up to 16 players. Obviously.
Oh, we need to do this every week, boys. I'm already
you picked
excited.
device.
No,
Of
standard.
course you picked
Standard.
Lucas is the
That
second.
was hard. Oh, the
So device
producer
locked in.
team.
You
here
can
we go.
you can share your
Yep,
thoughts.
you take the pre. Fuck him,
Producer
that's
Lucas
fine.
is not going to be saying anything because noobs.
I'm picking.
What the fuck is
We're
Rob's
literally
team
just
name?
we're just gonna rob Astralis first.
Giuseppe's Fisherman.
Yes,
What the fuck?
What? I didn't see
that was my team name when I was playing
Okay.
Oh, this is
fantasy
good.
football, like the
This is
Premiership
too
thing.
good.
So I just copy pasted it. I have a lot of stupid
So,
names.
do I go to last now in the pick order, and then Lucas goes to first?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Now I can pick 2. So.
Ah, okay.
It's the best picture, man.
Fucking hell, this gets harder already.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
That's the thing. Like
so
we're just robbing Astralis like from.
Of course.
Astralis
last.
bullied.
So who didn't pick Astralis?
Someone didn't pick Zippy.
I didn't pick Astralis.
You got Naf. Ah,
You
You
okay.
got Nav. That's an
Yep.
interesting pick.
Well, not really.
I mean, currently he's like a bronze, as you see. Like the outlines are.
Yeah, I mean,
their
that was
ratings,
because
the ratings.
that was
in the
because
past
of a pretty bad showing, like towards the end of the major, I think.
Yeah.
Chat, if you're here regularly watching,
Oh
as
fuck!
well,
How much time do you have?
I
20
want you to
seconds.
tell
okay.
us how your fantasy leagues are going as well. We can actually keep checking on you guys.
So bronze
This
is
is fun.
bronze is the worst.
Yes. Because Nav had a couple of bad
Okay.
events or
Good.
something.
Okay, fuck it.
Oh, I'm picking. How long have we got? 45 seconds. Fuck my life. This is rough.
I'm basically like just banking on Naf and Niko being back to like their normal selves.
Ooh,
Uh,
flicking through.
I'm just,
Also,
I do
there's-
not know where I'm going with this.
there's the pre-drafting. Just in case people don't know, you can make like your own order. So in case you're not there, it picks automatically. And also, like when you're doing this draft, like the first one that is available
13
on your
seconds. Fuck,
pre-draft
okay,
just goes into it. You can just select.
rough.
3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second.
Fuck.
There you go. Did that randomize or?
Yeah,
did
no,
you
I just
actually
got
pick that?
random first.
Ah!
Right. Fuck!
It's not random. That's off the pre-draft because you didn't select anything. You got like the
Oh.
automatic.
Fuck you, Lucas.
Okay,
Oh.
I realize I fucked
I'm
up.
complaining already. This system's fucking broke. If you're
Yeah.
slow like
You
me,
just-
guys, you get
Strike-
Striker
fucked up,
didn't pick
yeah.
anyone from
Shit.
Astralis who are
I-
favored to get to the final and actually win it. So
I wanted to pick Zipex. I realized it like late. I forgot about that.
I'm
So
too busy
the-
reading the stats.
the points are distributed based on like the rating mostly, and then you also have roles, 5, like I don't know, 10 different roles which you can apply to players, and then you get like bonus points, which are
Gives
maybe
you quite little, though.
20% of the.
I think
of the
Perry even
total.
said like 10% of like the
Yeah.
whole thing was probably going to be like the rolls.
Thanks. You gotta pick one this time, all right?
Okay,
I don't want you
fuck.
to get random again.
You're going to get Stewie if you don't pick. Let's say that.
I mean, yeah.
I can only pick ones that are now highlighted, right?
Yeah, you can't pick same as anybody
Well,
else.
you can't pick anybody who was already picked. Yeah.
Yeah, all the
It's
gray,
kind of what the-
gray ones.
Kind of what the
are
draft
selected.
is about, man.
I'm just saying them on the colours because some I've got lit up here and some haven't, so I'm guessing that's the way it's telling.
Who do you think is gonna be left over? Who do you think's not getting picked?
Adren.
I mean,
Adren's not getting picked.
Taco's not getting picked.
I don't think Taco's not.
Get Right's not
Oh
getting
my
picked.
God.
Get Right's not getting picked. Yeah.
Fuck
There are
it.
only 5 players that will leave, and I don't think like a lot of Ents players are going to be left.
Oh yeah,
let's
that's
see,
true.
let's see, Banks.
Let's see
you
about
believe
that.
in Ents?
Oh, I'm
no Ents
picking
players
Fox.
on your team. What's going on, man? I thought you were a believer.
I'm not saying I'm a believer. I'm just going along with the storyline, bro.
Okay.
I'm playing the smart game for this shit. I'm killing your ass in this.
Look,
What's Striker going?
You've got fucking Naf
This
and
is-
Niko.
Getting kind of
no,
hard.
that's Striker.
Oh, striker. Okay, but then yes, unlucky. Because you know FaZe's gonna bomb out.
This
I'm
question
gonna go
from-
with Forrest. Fuck
The
it.
thing
Question.
is, with this round robin and the best of ones, it's actually kind of cool because they all get to play the same amount of matches. Whereas, like in other formats, you wouldn't have as many opportunities to like farm stats. So, like the Sao Paulo, the round robin situation is actually a really cool way. When we do the one for Star Ladder, I assume next week, that one is going to be a little bit different, right? Because it's
Yeah.
going to have 16 teams, and there's going to be some teams won't play as many matches.
Yeah, but that's also kind of the charm half of it, you know, to actually predict who's
Who's going to
play
make it?
how
Yeah,
much
true.
and stuff like that.
Oh, you're picking twice again.
Yeah, because I'm last, so I get to pick
Yeah.
twice. Mm.
Fuck, I'm going to be left with the scraps. Holy shit.
Even though I don't believe in Ents, I believe in Sergey, so I got him.
Yeah. Took the bullet.
So there you go, guys. Professor is a flip-flopper.
No, I mean this is the difference about fantasy. Even though I don't believe in a team, if Sergey is going to be
an individual player, right? Yeah,
he's gonna be bringing in points. So that's the logic.
The thing is, like, the ends generally have just been like super like changing who's carrying which map and game. Like there hasn't been one person consistently, basically. Like outside of major playoffs, like 7 have like multiple really good games. Fuck, I'm pretty screwed.
Striker picked Forest, who he believes plays not that good against top teams.
No, I didn't click. I mean, Rez is not that bad.
Wait, you got Rez? That's a great
Rez is not
pick.
that bad. I was gonna go another way. Fuck it. I'm not gonna say who because
Here's the thing, Banks.
Yeah.
How many bad tournaments in a row do you think Olaf can have? That's the question. Are you thinking he's gonna have another bad one?
I was going that way as well.
I felt like
he was just gonna turn it around.
But they're definitely not going to be as bad as...
No one has faith in Stewie. Interesting.
No, not on Liquid.
You remember Taco's brilliant openings on Overpass against Astralis?
I also remember the openings that MIBR made against, I think it was Windigo on Overpass, where they walked through Monster and lost to 5 USPs. So...
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, fuck. That's who I was going to pick. All right.
You shouldn't have said anything.
Play yourself, Chad. Play yourself.
So Astralis and Liquid are already robbed completely.
Ooh. Ooh.
Sponge going 2 phase players.
Gonna go well.
Look.
This is rough, dude.
What
So-
did you have left?
Look, he's got... Look, get X7. Do it.
If he has another game like he did, there you go.
He got X7.
Actually got X7.
He doesn't care.
Am I like next pick or whatever? What?
That's you now. If X7 played like he did at the major, Lucas is winning the whole thing.
Yeah, of course. But he's only good in playoffs, and there are only 1 playoff match here, so I'm not sure.
Do I go for a Dren as the whole, like, yep, 1 Hail Mary, you might be able to do it, mate?
Your second pick getting randomized has fucked your
Fucked
team
me,
completely.
yeah. My third thing is just cancer.
It's not that Fur's bad, it's that your second pick went to some... Like, Fur would have been a
I
good
could have
third
taken
choice.
Zipnix. Zipnix was fucking sat there.
Well...
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm back on low time.
I mean, kind of that's
I
the
missed out
logic
on
with
Zipex. I should
picking
have done
Coldzera first for me, just because I think he's going to top frag every match in my BR play, so...
Fuck.
He's
The thing is, like,
more
Zipex,
than...
the problem that where I fucked up, right? Zipex has actually looked like a top 2 player in the world in the first couple of months. Like, he's been insane at both tournaments.
He's been pretty
both
good.
high by power and both. And he was like the second candidate for MVP
True.
at both tournaments.
I fucked up there as well, taking Glaive then.
Yeah, I should have picked Zipex and I just didn't think.
+1. Like the last time we did this like test league, I did do a pre-draft and everything.
I'm gonna go with a Dren. Fuck it.
What is the logic there?
I mean, compared to the other players, basically.
Okay, no, the logic behind having a Dren, and I can go with this striker.
No, a Dren has not looked bad. Like,
He can frag out, we know that, right? But the main thing is, if this is one of his last events of him, he'll just go fucking ham again.
I'm picking Taco.
Okay, now we get to assign the roles. So, are we doing this on the stream? I guess we can't see the other people's roles, right?
not sure
no,
if
we
you
can
can.
do that later. But just we can take a look at the teams
So,
Yeah, you
as
can-
they
you-
are.
Oh yeah, okay.
well, we can talk through the roles as well. So the roles that you can have, there's a main AWP, and these like give you bonuses. So if you pick Device as your main AWPer in your team, so that's for my example, and he doesn't use the AWP a lot, which would just be wild, then I would actually lose points. Even if he played well, I would still lose points because I've prioritized him as the AWPer. At least that's how it used to work in the Dream Team, and it reads the same way here.
Yeah, but the bonuses aren't that big, or like even negative or positive as they were before. Because before you could really get fucked if you put a wrong roll, and now it's like 10 to 20% of the total score is influenced by the rolls.
There's certain ones here, like the leader role, which is depending on the rounds, 1 lost, right?
Yeah.
So team win match, the team wins. So there's a small, like you wouldn't put that on like phase. You don't expect to win many games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got like Stat Hunter, which is something you'd put on somebody like NAF, who chews up those eco kills, for example, right? You've got there's a noob role. So if you did get stuck, let's say we were doing a draft right now and it had 6 people and we actually had to draft every single member of all teams, then if you had a player who you really didn't think was good, you could give them the noob role, assuming that they're not going to get many frags. Headshot machine, defender, so that's a CT sided one. Camper, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that term in CSGO for a very long time. Deaths per round. Okay, so that's not dying a lot.
I was thinking about putting that for Res because he's fairly passive, and
I should put that on device.
Yeah, that's true. His DPR is like the least.
I mean, the straws generally just don't die much, but the device is just like Tipex and device are like the most, die the least, basically.
So these key numbers afterwards, like the league placement roles total, this is a global thing here, right? You can see the global placement, how you're faring against everybody else in the world.
No, this is round 1 is like every match, so it's between us in this league.
No, but on the see where it says key numbers, got league placement, role bonus, total points, global placement.
Aha, yeah, that's a global placement. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, role bonus, total points, yes, there is a global placement as well. I forgot about that.
Things like the Juan Deagle might not be as impactful now that we have the economy changes. I don't know how much people have actually been able to look into this, but I've tried to play as many games of Counter-Strike as possible since the update, and it just feels like in certain scenarios when the game is like going 2 rounds are won by this team, they win a round, then they win 3, then you win 3. That when games go like that, the loss bonus, it doesn't really feel like it's affecting anything. It feels pretty reasonable. But when you have like streaks where say a team goes 7 or 8 up against you, and then you eventually break them, their money's fucked, and then you can pretty much never be broken, especially if you're on the T side for the rest of the game, because the rest of the game you have 3,400 as the loss bonus almost constantly. So it's gonna be interesting how that plays in.
I'm just still looking at the roles, and
I got my roles. I think I might change them later, or you can change it whenever.
I didn't think about the roles when I was picking the players, because now I'm like stuck with a couple of players that I would have put the same thing on.
Yeah.
And it's just like I didn't think about that. But so yeah, take that as a lesson, people. If you haven't done your draft yet, think about the roles.
Think about the time.
Think about the time. As two of us got random.
I got random and got fucking fur.
I got Coldzera as the stat hunter, so big bonus if he has a 1.4 rating or above.
I had the same thing, yeah, for now.
And then Glaive as the IGL, just because if the team wins the match, then he gets a bonus. That's it.
What do you even Lucas on X7?
Asking, what do you
should put one that involves him playing like he did at the major.
There's a noob. Also.
You may as well double down on it. Like, there's no reason not to.
Stat Hunter for X7.
Stat Hunter X7. Let's go.
Main op for Guardian, of course. I put support for Sergey just because it's based on the cast, kill, assist, survive, traded death, and I think he could do well. That's not really. I mean, it is decent for support players, but at the same time, I have Taco who dies a lot, so it's not really that good for him. I think. Might switch it around. I have entry fragger on Taco, but I might switch it too. I have to check the cast on like the players, see how they did.
Yeah. You have a top three topic, Banks.
Well, a top 3 topic.
We can fuck it off, but we can talk about the new update, I guess. Like we didn't address that yet.
Yeah, we
haven't addressed it yet.
No.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It happened just after the last.
Yeah, it just happened like literally like an hour after the last episode. That's right.
Yeah, we were talking about like a few things, and then next second it all just fucking comes into fruition. At least the org update is a gradual one, right? I'm glad it's not that knee-jerk reaction that some people were expecting. It was just what we originally thought, and
I honestly
you could see.
Did expect for it to get nerfed. Like,
but you could tell in Valve's the way that Valve worded the update. They were like, "Yeah, look at this, you idiots! Look how good this gun is that you never tried."
It was there all along.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's cool to see, but it's still being prioritized a lot. So it wouldn't surprise me if it goes up an extra 100 to 200. People are still buying it first gun rounds of the game, and they're just using it to hold like more audacious lines. We've already covered that a lot. I was even watching and commentating those games. Ago they were having 4 orgs and an AWP almost constantly. A lot more silenced M4 for those people who missed the update with that. The silenced M4 now has an extra 5 bullets and then more in reserve. So it's 25 and then 75. And Kenny S was using it. Shox has used it in the past a lot. More members from Ago were using it. It feels like it's definitely going to come back in vogue a bit. Sure, the firing rate means it's not as good for like multi-frag spam downs, but if you want to be like more of an aggressive CT player who's like posturing and jiggle peeking, or maybe going forward to find isolating fights at one-on-one, it's fine, right? You're not gonna feel too much of a disadvantage there. And also having more bullets means now you can spam through the smoke a little bit more. When you think about the gun originally, you didn't have a lot in reserve. You couldn't really spam through smokes, and it negated the fact that people couldn't see your traces. So that's another one there. Couple of positives.
Yeah, I think Dog will still be like the main choice for everyone, just because it's still very good. Of course, at least you won't have it that much that early, or people need to make sacrifices in utility or head armor. Even I saw Windigo playing like a AUG and like the basic Kevlar instead of the full on a anti-eco. So that's a risk if you want to play it like that. We'll see how it develops. I don't think them for A1S will change that much. I see people are using it, but I still don't see like the why. Like, why would you use it?
The thing is, like, it's still lower in fire rate. So basically, the only upside that it has is the fact that it's silenced and that it doesn't have the tracers as the M4 does, as the other M4 anyway. So that's like the only upside to it, which just like damage wise, it's just not going to help you with whatever they did to it. They just has 5 more
Many
bullets.
of the players that were still using it are still going to use it, right?
Yeah,
very few
much.
of them. It's not going to make anyone else really change over to it.
How many players are there though? Like 3?
GG.BET uses it on occasions on train.
Aerial, Forest.
Aerial, Forest, yep.
Who else? Like, that's pretty much it.
Some people did use it now on WSG. I think it was just like trying it out.
Yeah, test it out. It's not really a serious event. Why not?
Windigo played with it, right? Or I saw it quite a lot in the Windigo Argo final. I'm trying to remember who it was.
A couple of Caper used it almost exclusively. But yeah, more people were picking it up, that's for sure. So with that coming back into vogue a little bit, it might swing it. I think that Valve just want to show variety, right? And the idea here is maybe a weapon suits your playstyle a little bit more, and that's why you might want to pick it. And that's the cool thing. And you can see that they want to kind of crowbar the shotguns in a little bit more. We had the price reduction from the Nova down to 1,050, the Saw off to 1,100, and the Mag 7 to 1,300. Now the Mag 7 has always been a gun that has been scary as fuck. But now that it's even cheaper, I kind of like it, and I don't like it on the perspective that people might use it on Force Spies. I like it on the perspective that people might use it against Force Spies. Now, like, if you're a CT on train, for example, and you can get into Pop Dog with a Mag 7 and people are trying to be like sneaky cunts and get in there early, you're just going to wreck them. Like, you're just going to destroy them. Like, people usually go up there with like a MP9 or something of the sorts now. No reason you can't take a shotgun in there. You've seen it be used. Weapons have been used situationally a lot in the past. And the very original ones that you'd have to think about would be like JW with the shotgun, taking drop and going holes on Inferno. And then another big one was Flusher and the likes of Get Right, etc. in the early days on Cobble, using the UMP in drop zone, because they had the 25 bullets, it had the good armor penetration, the fire rate was up there, and it was a duel where when they're dropping in, you tend to have a lot of advantage. And this is actually, like, people seem to think that I am a person who's adverse to change. I am actually all for the change. Like, I like the org, I like these weapon changes along the lines. It's the economy one which worries me the most. Oh, we got the flashbang assist. Maybe we talk about that one first.
Yes, so the flashbang assist, I love having it there, but I don't love that it's going to give away all the information if it means the other team is seeing it.
That got brought up really quickly after the update.
I
that's
think
like
that'll be
the
an
obvious
easy change.
bad.
I don't think that needs to be even talked about. I think
Valve will acknowledge that very quickly. Yeah, I think that they should.
So the thing is,
it's very obvious.
Let's just hold up for a second, because unless the players or the player association have actually sent an email to Valve outlining this as an issue, right?
Nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen.
I saw on Twitter, like, a couple of people said it's asking for like Valve emails and shit. So I feel like somebody will.
Hopefully, if they're asking for the emails,
if they're in the fucking association, how can they be asking for the email on Twitter? How does that work?
Oh well.
Don't they have a fucking Discord chat or a Skype or something? You're like, hey guys, what is that email? And they get it.
I think there's some real issues. Like, obviously the player association is a fantastic idea and it had to happen, but there's some issues that people probably never really considered. I was speaking to Gomez from Renegades, and he was like, hey, we're at the major, and nothing was there, right? Obviously with Complexity, they got knocked out, and they were trying to organize an opportunity to have the meeting, right? But you're at the major, it's the biggest tournament of the year, and you've got like a couple of days practice before the next stage. people aren't going to sacrifice practice time to go have a meeting about things. And you might think that that seems very, short-sighted, and it is. But at the same time, you're playing in what is the biggest tournament for you in that moment. And you can see by how people treat esports in a lot of ways that we all live in the moment. If we were looking to the future, then people would probably have made a lot of different decisions, knowing there's longevity in this line of work. But people live in the moment, especially players whose careers can either go for 10 plus years like Forrest and Get Right, or they can be over in the blink of an eye. For example, is Dead Fox going to come back? That's here nor there. But my point is that with the player association right now, unless the players actually prioritize being able to put time aside to go have these discussions and bring things up, there's so many little things that you could talk about. Hey, when you die and the bomb drops forward, should the bomb drop forward? Like, should the bomb drop at your feet? That's the question the players could talk about. They could send an email. They could request a link from Valve.
That is so annoying, man.
That is a pretty random factor, by the way.
Yeah.
It feels like it doesn't really have like proper rules.
People are
Sometimes
fighting
it just, like,
randomness,
drops.
and then when I say something about that on Twitter, it's like, what are you talking about? It's just a mechanic in the game. It's like, it's random as fuck. Your bomb can literally
Fly off
end
the
up
side, and then you'll
on
never
the
be able
worst-
to
on
pick
the
it back
top
up.
of Firebox on Mirage. Like, how? How does that happen? On top of the hot on nuke, while you're down. How does
But
how does
literally
that
the
physics work?
worst place it happens is on Dust 2 when you come
I'm
up from
sure.
CAD into a site.
Yeah.
Like, you can be back at the fucking wall almost, and you still can drop it down below the site.
And that should
And
never
that's just
happen, right?
ridiculous.
And that
So
just fucks
dumb.
the whole round. Like, you can't
Yeah,
go
exactly.
down there.
Yeah,
You can't.
and you can't just like stay as far back as possible like all the time. It's just like it's pretty hard to.
You're giving them a round at that point for no
Yeah.
fucking none of your own fault.
For the
It's like
most
one
random
death.
factor as possible. Yeah, that's pretty rough. And like I said, it doesn't even appear to have like proper rules. I mean, I can't really comment on that too much because I'm just not sure how the mechanic works properly. I haven't like actually tested it out.
I think if it just drops like vertically down, no one would be upset about that.
Just
I mean, it was
drop.
just like if it just
die,
drops
it's on the
at the
floor.
corpse, right? Literally,
Yeah.
like on top of your corpse, basically. Like it would make the most sense. Because like the bomb
worst
is
thing
not
is-
the bomb is not a fucking bounce. Like
You can't
it doesn't
move
bounce,
it. You can't
right?
shoot it.
It's got
yeah.
flubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not plastic. It will not bounce. Like it's not a.
Did you
whatever.
ever see like someone with an AK pushing short on Dust 2 and dying, and then the AK flying down to CT spawn? I never saw that happen.
You're right.
Why does
that's
it only
very
happen
rare,
with
right?
the bomb?
Yeah. So I think that probably needs to be, well, that's just one of those things, but the whole point here was about the player association needing to find a way to get the most out of it. When you're competing against one another, it's very difficult to put down the weapon, so to speak, and go have a discussion about it, especially during a tournament. And with so many tournaments on all the time, there's issues like that. So hopefully that can get fixed. But yeah, that flashbang thing, the more that I think about it, the more that I like play with it and stuff, I understand the premise. I completely am on with the premise of what the players and coaches and everybody's bringing up, like that extra level of information. And I get it, but I actually think if I was Valve and I look at that, I would just go, eh. Like, I don't think for me, if I was Valve, I'd go, that's a huge deal. I'd just shrug it off. It would be a simple change, I would assume, just to make it spectator client only or for your team only. At least it seems that way. I've never coded anything in my life other than,
I'm sure it's
Yeah.
easy to fix it for team only or.
People
But
that
it's-
have
Yeah,
made
and
this
it's
game,
spectator.
it's definitely easy.
It's a great addition. It's a great addition to Counter-Strike, at least from a viewing perspective, to show like when they pop up all the time. When you do it, look. Okay, this is gonna sound really geeky. I've really.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to say this. I just. Me and Rush, the observer from ESO, we play matchmaking together all the time, and we've been going hard on maps like Abbey and Biome and shit. He's got a bunch
God.
of friends, and we've been playing together. And the other day, Rush and I got home, and we learned a whole bunch of smokes on Abbey. And then just before we came into the podcast, we were doing like set executes onto bomb sites, and we're flashing the site. The smokes are everywhere, and you're running in, and we kill everybody. And every single kill in the bomb site is a flash assist. It's like, this is awesome. Like, you can actually see how people are contributing to taking rounds. And
That
from
is pretty awesome. Yeah,
that's
But
so
then
good.
I love
why
most
does it-
about it is the
but why does-
contribution
does the
side of
opponent-
things.
Why does the opponent need to see it though?
You're right, they don't.
No,
They don't.
it's viable for us as viewers, right, and stuff like that. When you've got players who get shat on because they threw a flash, they did their job, and they run up to their death, and they're like,
It's
"Oh,
just
well, you don't have
rewarding.
loads
It's
of
just
kills."
rewarding, right?
This
To
is
actually
basically just giving us
see-
information that we can use and say, "This is what this guy's role has been. This is what he set up. This is why he's involved." This is where we can actually give him some credit rather than everyone who's fucking idiotic and looks at kill to death ratios and goes, "That player is shit, kick him from the team."
But it just promotes team play more, right? Just because you actually see the impact of it, like it's visual in the game, so it's just much more rewarding than just like your teammate just like randomly, oh yeah, he was blind, basically like depending on communication. Like you can actually see it immediately after it happens. So it's just very, very, very rewarding. It's just a great move to show them. It's just like obviously with the way they did it, that everybody can see it is just not ideal because of competitiveness.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, it's such a small deal. It's really not a big deal as you can see it. Like most of the time, you aren't going to be looking at who got the assist when you're in the middle of the fight. It's a very small thing, but I think the solution is so simple.
Say you get flashed in, Prof. Yeah.
The solution is so simple that they should just make it an option for like a console option, so people can change it and turn it off. They can leave it in matchmaking. Who knows? Like I know who's playing on which side. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a big difference. But
the
like,
top players, though, it's so important.
I think there should be an option just for people to be happy. The issue I have with it, though, is it literally gives a flash assist if you're like 1% flashed. And you even see people, they're completely not, they're taking a aim duel completely normally. They die, and it's like a flash assist. Just because they're like 1%.
Yeah, there is that as well.
That needs to be tweaked, in my opinion. That's like kind of bullshit. It's really, that flash didn't help. It's like, what are we doing here?
To the degree on how flashed it is also, that's a factor. But I think 100%, I don't agree where you're saying people won't check it or like might kind of glaze over it, because that is 100% what they will do, right? Because say someone flashes in and you're like, I don't know, it kind of tells you, not that there's an extra player there, but it gives you an idea of what number of players there at times, right? You can use so much off that information.
Yeah, there can be. It's like a small
pro team, smart teams will do that shit.
It's situational in the sense of if it is a full-on like rush or a set piece, then it's an all-in and it won't matter. But when it's like a situation where you're flashing a player into a part of the map to either go for information, that's where it really becomes an issue, right? Because let's use overpass B as an example, and we'll pick Astralis. We know that Xyp9x is one of the anchors over towards that site, and they normally have Device over towards A with the AWP. Well, if Device flashes Xyp9x to Monster and he gets the kill off the flash assist, then they can react knowing that whatever economy information they have, and there's only one op on the board or whatever the fuck, that Device is over towards B, so now we can go over towards A without having to use so many of our own utility or whatever and not have to be worried about an AWP, right? That changes the dynamic of approaching an area of the map. And now some people might say, hey, that's a good thing because you have to know that information in the first place, or you could use it against them in different ways. Sure, there's different layers of mind games there, but I think that in just the overall sense, we're all in pretty much agreement that it shouldn't be on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just want to say that the flash assist in CS:GO and the flash assist on HLTV are not the same thing. They're distributed, allocated differently, and I think it just needs to be.
They're very fine-tuned in our stats. It has to. I don't remember the exact rules how it's actually counted, but it's very, very well thought out. It's not just like it won't give you a flash assist if you just like get 10% or something. Like there's a time frame within which like the kill has to come in from the flash, and there's like a percentage of a flash that they have to be in for that to count. Basically, like it's whatever. It's just actually very well thought out though. It's not how it works in our system anyway.
Yeah, going on to what you're saying on the whole shotgun thing as well, I think that like what you said about using it for anti-ecos, I think that's gonna be so crazy. I think there's gonna be people racking up money. We're gonna see some craziness once again.
Yeah, I
love it. I've actually since playing with it, I'm like, I was playing Inferno and I'm just holding fucking apartments and I am wrecking people with the Mag 7 again, and I'm getting bank for it off the back of it. Fucking that's win straight off.
The bank of Fnatic coming back and Fnatic rejuvenated, winning the next major.
Wow. So should we talk about the biggest change of it all?
Of course.
What is that?
The economy change.
Yes.
So
fair enough.
In the past, we obviously had the loss bonus situation. It went 14, 19, 24, 29, 34, and then you had max loss bonus. Then we obviously had the pistol change because Valve didn't like the fact that there were so many rounds. It was just seen there was only one way to approach the start of the game. Right now, it's a lot more dynamic, so they made it so that after you lost pistol, it was 1900 as your opening loss bonus instead of 1400. Now with the changes, I'll read it so that you guys can have it verbatim. Adjusted round loss bonus with the goal of reducing a negative feedback loop following streaks of losses. Round loss bonuses are now based on the count of a team's round losses. The count increases by 1 after every loss and decreases by 1 after every win, with the minimum being 0. And the 0 is 1400, the same loss bonus what we're dealing with before. There's 1900, 24, 29, 3400. It's the same increments of money, but what happens is there's a thing in here called the round loss bonus is still limited to MP underscore consecutive underscore loss max multiplied by cash underscore team underscore winner underscore bonus consecutive rounds. So basically what that plays into it is if you've lost 4+ rounds and then you start to win some back, your loss bonus, you need to have won a significant share of rounds back into your losses to make sure that your loss bonus starts to trickle down. If you're down like I actually touched on a little bit before. If you're like 7 or 8 rounds down and then you win a round and then maybe you win another round and then you lose again, you're still going to have 3400 as your loss bonus. Thing is, you're not going to get hard reset for the rest of that game. In theory, right? Obviously, there's different factors that could play in.
You only get 2900 though.
No.
And I think it's.
Oh, it gets reduced by 1 every time you lose.
No.
Yes, it does. The fuck?
If
you
but if you have more than 5 losses in a row, then it stacks.
Yes,
it goes
stacks.
over 5. Yeah. So when you
it
lose,
actually does go over 5.
Yeah.
You don't go directly down to 2.9.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That's what you meant. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
so you can have 3400 as several loss bonuses in a row, right? I know that's max loss bonus anyway, but what I mean is if you lose 8 in a row and then you win 3 in a row and then you lose the next round, your loss bonus will still be 3400. It won't go all the way back down. It won't go down to 2900 or.
So basically, you need to win as much as you lost for you to get hard reset.
Yes.
Basically. And it doesn't matter whether it's 5 or not. It just goes over. Fair enough.
Now the original the intention of this is to mean that there's more competitive rounds, which I understand and I'm all for. And I, like I said before, I'm about change. I'm cool. I want to see how this plays out. But my bigger concern, and a lot of people disagree, and that's fine. But one of the biggest things from a storytelling perspective, which is what I do, is talking about the importance of rounds. And one of the things that I can see already being a problem is we would build up. If you were down like 5 or 6 rounds in a row and then finally you beat them in a round, it's like, okay, well now this round is even more important than the round they just got on the board. Yeah. They have to stabilize here. If they can't manage to string another round together, they're fucked. They're hard reset. They're out of the game, and this half is going to be snowballed away. Now a lot of people look at that and they go, that's bad. I can understand how you think that concept is bad, but you could have tweaked a couple of different things so they didn't get hard reset. You didn't have to change the whole system so that this is like playing Mario Kart and coming last, and now you go through and you collect the fucking the cubes that give you weapons and shit.
All the best,
you're more likely to get the blue shell if you're coming last than if you are coming higher up in the thing. It's a mechanic designed to help the loser. Now that's what we're
catch up mechanic,
and I fucking hate that, right? Because you have equal opportunity in Counter-Strike. It's just the case. You have an equal opportunity as everybody else. Like, sure, maps are CT or T bias, whatever. Sure, weapon situations, but you have equal opportunity. Both teams play both sides of the game, and sure, it's I agree that if you lose a half 13-2, it's much difficult to come back and win the following half 13-2. But I feel like it detracts, and it has to. People who argue and say, no, it doesn't take anything away, you still have to win the round. You're a fucking idiot, because it definitely detracts on the importance of certain rounds. Whether or not that's seen as a good or a bad thing by you, that's the difference, right? Whether you see that as, okay, this is better for the overall gameplay or not, that's a subjective argument. Now, somebody like me who's been playing this game and watching and observing and talking about this game for the majority of his life, I see it like this because so much of the importance, like I was just talking about, was put on these crunch rounds. And if somebody was able to pull one out of their back pocket or pull some fucking miraculous play out, not only the importance of the economy situation and not only the importance of the clutch, it was the combination of the two that made that situation so much more epic. Now, we're going to lose a bit of that, no matter what you say, but overall, if we get more competitive matches, it's a good thing.
I think...
Just me?
I think we need to really see it play out, but just the initial reaction is kind of similar to... First of all, I was so shocked that everyone took it, like most of the pro scene took it like this is a great update without even trying it out or seeing how it works. Like, this is great. It's like, okay, like why do you think?
Reasonable.
Did you actually try it out?
You can kind of see how it works on a theoretical level, though. This is not the type of an update that you have to test out or whatever. You just know how it's going to work. It's just kind of actually like figuring out how to plan games around it.
It works both ways. Like, it's not like they changed one thing and now only that one thing is going to be changed. Now there are different things that you don't think about will also be affected. And one of the things, I just feel like there's so much more money in the game now. Like in an average half, I don't know how to check it. I mean, I can go and find like a random match and try to see how much money.
You can count it up.
You can, but it feels like there are going to be a lot of more buy rounds, especially like the whole second part of the half is going to be just like rifle rounds all the time. So it kind of makes like the first part of the half different to the second part of the half, and that first part is going to be.
It depends on how back and forth you are, right? Because if it's not streaky, then it's just going to remain relatively the same.
It's going to be the same, yeah.
If it's not very streaky, where like one team gets 5 rounds, the other team gets 5 rounds, it's just gonna remain at least close to what we're kind of getting used to. But if it is a little bit less back and forth, when it's more 5 there, 5 back, blah blah blah, then we're going to see a big difference.
Which is why I take issue with this as an overall thing, because it doesn't. If you're on the let me give you an example here. If you're on the CT side and you've won 6 rounds straight, but they've all been close rounds. Let's say they're 1v1s, 1v2s. You know, you're losing so many players. All those occasions, the T's are constantly getting the bomb down. They've already maxed out their loss bonus. They're coming at you time and time again, and you're still winning the rounds. Guess what? You're at threat of being fucked for that second part of the half. And even if you are able to mount an eco victory and you have another one, like, okay, here's what happens. You win 6 in a row as a CTs and you've had close rounds the entire time. You eventually lose that round. You're the one getting hard reset, okay? Hard reset will still exist. It is still going to exist. It now just favors the loser, as opposed to before where it just favored the winner who could punish you after you've won a round. The whole dynamic is flipped on its head. So this situation, you've won 6 in a row. The T side wins a round. They've now taken control of the economy. You have been hard reset. You've had no residual cash in the bank. You have $1,400. You're fucked. Now you need to go, as a CTs, you already have to pay more for weapons. This is why I think that the issue shouldn't have been addressed in this way. It should have been addressed with the CTs. They don't ever get reset back down to 1,400. They don't even get reset down to 1,900. Have the CTs minimum loss bonus after the game's been established at 2,400. Incinerators are more, weaponry is more. You have to buy a fucking $400 diffuse kit. For the life of me, I still don't understand why. And all these other points where the CTs have so much, they can still be fucked. The CTs can still be money fucked in a half of Counter-Strike. And that is the issue that will always exist, even with this system. So I think it's been addressed in not the right manner, and this is probably because it's been expressed in the wrong way. In broadcasts, we always talk about the hard reset, but no one's ever sat down and really had the proper conversation about how do you fix this. Well, first of all, they were happy to change the loss bonus after you lost pistol round. And I was against that in the beginning because I thought that there were so many other fun concepts that people would try and use to punish the game, but nobody's done it yet. I haven't seen anybody go for the scenarios which I proposed, which is surprising. But now the hard reset factor still exists. It hasn't been addressed. It's just a mechanic that will benefit the losers. And I don't think that's what Counter-Strike's about, at least not in my mind. The economy change. The economy has been like this. Obviously, there's been different amounts of start money. We've had different rounds. I put in question, do we need to play MR15 anymore with this new change? Is it necessary?
Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is, like, you said that it's an issue, like the hard reset, but did any one of you think, like, this is something that needs to be changed? That idea never crossed my mind.
And this is the thing, right? You're changing something that's been a part of Counter-Strike for so long since the beginning. And it's like I don't know, for me, it's going to take a lot of hype out of things. Sao Paulo's using it, right, though? They're gonna have it?
I was going to ask a question. I haven't actually seen anything publicly, and I haven't had a minute to ask their League Ops team yet. I can actually do that right now. Give me 30 seconds.
I'd love to know if they're going to use it, because that's a good test on an event that, like we were saying, right, is
I'd be surprised
a bit more of a fun one.
I'd be surprised if they didn't use it.
Pretty sure ECS is using it right now, right?
I think so. I think they tweeted that they were going to use it.
Including the money. I know some have taken the updates, but not the money. Not the rounds.
I mean, that was the case at WESG.
Yeah.
Where they didn't put in the economy thing because they can't change. They can't
really
roll back. That was a smart
decision, at least.
Yeah, they can't roll back the money thing. The costs of the guns, but they can roll back with the economy update with the command.
Yeah. So Rupi in chat says this will make the better team win. No more upsets.
That's wrong.
What?
I think, first of all, it might help like big upsets not happen because some of them are fueled with winning the pistol. That's already been nerfed. Like winning the pistol isn't that important anymore. And then you can't get that like you win 3 rounds and then win 1, then you win 3, and that kind of thing is harder to happen. Okay. But at the same time, I feel like the thing that Sponge talked about is that if you have a good start and then have like a bad second part of the half, and the two teams are kind of similar in that regard, it favors the loser, the guy catching up, and I don't see a reason why that would happen. Potentially, I think the concept can still be good. I mean, it might be good as it is, but I feel like it maybe just needs to be nerfed a bit, and the max cash you can get, or in some way. Maybe the thing that stacks over if you have more than 5 losses, maybe that should be removed. Maybe it should be capped. Like stuff like that can be potentially looked at moving forward.
So information is it. Well, I don't have the definitive answer. It may or may not be used. It's not decided just yet. It's highly likely, but it's not definitive at this point in time.
Okay.
I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't use it because it's. I mean, it will have been about over a week, and there's been some online play in between where people will have been able to get used to it and stuff. So I feel like it's kind of like sufficient enough time for people to kind of like get a better
Joe controversy.
God.
So Astralis are the best team in the world, and Zonic even said like any change that happens doesn't benefit us. And now they're going into the tournament, which is run by Refresh, which own Astralis. Do they want to change the rules into something new? Will that not maybe be counterproductive to Astralis winning? Conspiracy. Tinfoil.
Oh,
all right.
God,
Well, I'm gonna take your tinfoil hat off. I'm gonna throw it away because I don't think I get to work with these organizers, and I don't think Blast would ever do anything that would ever.
Also,
I mean, I honestly don't think that Astralis want to keep it the old way, because what's the point? It's going to be changing.
That's the thing.
Anyway.
Like they are great with utility. They're great with utility. This will help them get more utility.
If anything, this makes them stronger.
I don't understand, right? I wish that I had spoken to Valve at the major. Literally, I went from my hotel room to the green room to the analyst desk, back to the green room, back to the hotel. I went in the arena once, and that was for that fucking show match. I didn't have a chance to talk to any. Actually, I spoke to Vitaly from Valve as we were setting up for the show match, and he was saying, "Do you guys know any Danger Zone strategies?" And I was joking that the talent have actually played more games of Danger Zone than the majority of the players. But that aside, I wish that I had a way of knowing that this was coming, to not talk them out of it, but maybe show them another option. Because if the issue was making sure that the hard reset didn't exist, and I can understand how people can look at that as such a negative thing, we could easily have tweaked a couple of things that would have made that less impactful as what this new change is. And I get the point of the mechanic. I just see lots of options and lots of situations where you've worked really hard to get into a position to be in the lead, and that can just be snatched away from you. Like, we talk about the pivot rounds being the 1v1s, the 1v2s. If you've gone ahead, the situation I painted before, right? I painted it from the side where maybe the CTs are winning close rounds. But let's say that the CTs had Zipniks. Let's say we're talking about Astralis, for example, and he's won 3 1v2 situations out of those 6 or 7 rounds that I'm talking about. And he's fucking grafted real hard. He's done so much work. They've been phenomenal plays. Everyone's excited. They don't mean shit, because as soon as they lose that round, they're reset. So now it's not about stabilizing your economy as the losing team after winning a round. It's about stabilizing and keeping your rounds as clean as possible. And now there's other opportunities where maybe previously it was better to save guns. Now it's better just to go for as many kills as possible and keep their economy, if they're winning, as low as possible. Because you know, if you're already lost down 5 rounds, if you balloon up to 8 rounds, that you're still going to have 3,400 every round for the rest of the game, no matter what happens. And when you consider that, you have to sit there and think to yourself, what the fuck is going on? Because you're not rewarding people for winning. And one of the best things about Counter-Strike was it would reward you for winning a round. You were rewarded for being the better team. And now it feels like there's certain situations, obviously not all of them, where it's doing the opposite. And I don't know if people, like I said, I'm not against change. People think I'm against change. I'm not. I really like the org update. I really like these new weapon changes. I want to give everything a chance, but my initial gut feeling is certain games that were super exciting in the past are going to lose elements that made them so exciting, that made the storytellers and the people who are, you know, yelling like absolute baboons about certain situations and hyping it up for you. Certain points of that are going to be gone, and that is just the fact of the matter. Hashtag fucking TM trademarked by Sponge. The fact of the matter thing. Apparently, I say that a lot, but
You do.
when you're sitting there riffing on the desk, you're just fucking talking, right? You don't know what's coming ahead. It's just a filler statement, but that's what my dad says. Anyway, point is, I think that we're going to lose a few elements of excitement, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, and who comes up with this though? Where did they get this idea from? It must have come from someone or somewhere.
No. They're very smart guys. Let's not dance around.
I'm not denying that, but this is not like this change is such a like. You say you're all for
this
change.
could just come from stats from like matchmaking that they get and whatever. And
Yeah,
they just
this
figure
is
out
my
that there's
thing.
too many resets and there's too. Let's say that they figured out that there's too few gun rounds in matchmaking, like in general.
Yeah.
Like that there's. Let's say they figured out that there's like only 60% of rounds are actual gun rounds, full gun rounds on both sides, right? Well, let's say they figured that, and they said, well, that's not. Huh?
It doesn't help that in matchmaking people are buying literally every round, so there are no
Yeah.
eco rounds either. So if they're using that as a, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just sad.
Yeah. I don't even know what the number could be like in pro games. I just haven't really thought about it. I'm guessing I would just like throw out 60% as a number that's felt fairly like close to accurate.
I'm just concerned that like
Look,
this
I
is
think
quite a big change from a competitive standpoint, and yes, I'm all up for some change coming in. As Chad just said, the rest of the things on the update, I'm all down for. But this one, I don't see, even just not from a broadcast perspective, I don't see the positive effects on how this plays out for any sort of like fair game to what we've. This is too big a change from what we used to.
Could we try and theorize right now, right? Just have a bit of a think. If we had the old economy system, right, and let's say we completely removed the original loss bonus of 1400 out of the game, or let's actually hold up. My version would be the CT's minimum loss bonus is 1900 consistently throughout the entire game, and the T's, even including pistol, I would go with the old money before the pistol change, was 1400 because the T's have the buffer of getting the bomb down. Right? Like we know they can make more money from doing that. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So let's think about how we could have tweaked it to avoid the hard reset and the fact that they can be punished in that scenario after winning a round, the negative feedback loop as Valve put it, without doing such a drastic change. I think that if you won a round and then lost a round immediately after, I don't know how you could do this, but like I said before, if you just didn't fucking go back down to the original loss bonus, maybe you went down to 2400, you'd still have to take a save, but we know how deadly a round is in Counter-Strike where you have a Deagle or a P250 or something along those lines, right? Those are getting... Valve wanted that stat line with eco rounds to be... they in 1.6, I think they're like, how many... They asked, I remember talking to them, they're like, how many do you think were won in 1.6? I was like, maybe 1 out of 10. And they're like, okay, so what do you think it should be in CSGO? I was like, maybe like 3 out of 10. Like, people don't understand the reason that you should be rewarded with a round after winning pistol round. And people who say that it's random and that it's a coin toss, I can understand your argument there. But in my mind, there is no better way to start a game between opponents. Let's say we have Astralis, the #1 team in the world, versus fucking Revolution. I think they were the Vietnamese team at WESG. They're not even ranked, right? If the Revolution team win the pistol round because it's a 50-50, what a great way to start the game. What a fantastic point, right? It's like, oh shit, well, we didn't think they had any chance, but they've started with pistol. Let's see what they can do from here. Instead of, oh, Astralis are the best team in the world, they should win pistol round, and if they don't, we're going to immediately reward them so they can beat them in the second or get rounds on the board as early as possible. What the fuck are we trying to do here? A pistol round is actually the best way to start a game because it is so gambly, because it's exciting. Oh, what are they going for here? Aggressive play, stack play. They're using their individuals. Oh, these guys have bought a lot of nades. What I saw Furia do at the minor, where they were buying and doing, like they were taking executes that one extra level, that was exciting. That was great. That was layers to strategy. And what it feels like we're doing is we're slowly removing all of the key elements of that and just going, well, everyone just have guns every round, buy whatever the fuck you want, and let's see who has better aim. Obviously, I know that's not the case. Communication, teamwork, strategy, it all plays into it. But all the nuance, it feels like the nuance is being just sucked out of the game. And that's the bit that makes Counter-Strike so delicious.
You can't deny that. The old, what used to get pistol, MP5s, then go into rifles after that. Maybe just hold your MP5s and get the 3-0 run. That was kind of the good old way of getting it done, right? That was the fair way to kind of fight back into it.
I don't know, I could bash my head against a brick wall for fucking the end of time about this, but I can only say here about 700 times that I'm all about change. It's just I think that change should actually be thought through. People here think that I'm some kind of fucking tyrant that, you know, go... I as an
But you played a lot of the new update, haven't you?
I've tried to play as much as I could. I had Starletter give me a PC while I was there in fucking Kiev so I could play Counter-Strike every night just so I could make sure that I'm testing the update to give it a fair try. And so far, some of the games that I've played where we're getting wrecked, well, guess what? We're getting wrecked because we're shit, so we just continue to get wrecked. The loss bonus doesn't help. The loss bonus doesn't help me, let me tell you that. But in games, like I've playing some FPLC in the last couple of days as well, and when they're more back and forth, it's just same old, right? It doesn't feel different to the, you can still like, oh, you knock them down around, so now their loss bonus is here, they might go for a force buy. It still feels like the same game, but it's just like when you have those games that the ones that I'm outlining, which are definitely going to happen at top level play, right? That's where I see the issues coming in and a little bit of the excitement just being sucked on out. Anyway.
I agree. I think that's a good way to end off, at least what we're saying on the update. Have we got any questions that have come through at all, guys? Have we seen anything in there?
I was asking for questions because people were like, "Is it time for questions? Is
Chat,
it time for questions?"
any
And then
questions,
somebody asked me how big the Dick trophy is gonna be, like for Masterbettor.
Well, it depends who wins it. It's gonna be sized proportionally.
Cast, like just cast it and then make it a real thing.
Real. What? Let's not. Yeah.
No.
Our producer is saying Martin's dick. No one wants that.
OpTic
Not even his wife.
Danish roster and get Windigo.
God damn it! Wait, we've got some breaking news coming.
Oh,
What now?
Lucas is bringing it. I spammed him about 700 times.
MSL and Niko and talks to OpTic Gaming. Is that?
Come on, just tell me. I didn't see it.
Will the negative be used again? No.
What was that?
Anyway, as Prof was saying, MSL and Niko in talks to join OpTic, which wouldn't make any sense because then you're gonna have two fucking in-game leaders. What are they doing?
MSL, Niko, Snappy.
Oh dear! Imagine
Refresh.
MSL not in-game leading and being the primary AWPer.
Don't forget Stockholm Masters, Chad.
I mean, what if?
Chad's walked away. Chad's given up.
Doesn't.
Thank you, buddy. Welcome to the day. Do you know? Okay, one thing I'll say on the
Just
Danish
given up
scene.
on life.
The
Of course, it
Danish
doesn't
scene
say
has a
anything
lot of
about
skill, a lot of talent within it, and Astralis are the best team in the world. But fuck me, outside of Astralis, the rest of it's just a bloody mess. Like, OpTic can't get their fucking shit together. Fucking North they've just lost the plot. All these teams are just in a whole like a tornado spin of desperately trying to be the best team in Denmark, but you're never gonna get better than Astralis.
But that's not the point, right? I guess they're not playing to be better than... Like, no one's playing to be better than Astralis, other than, like, Liquid and Na'Vi. Maybe MIBR. But I think in Denmark right now... I don't know. I don't even know who the good talent is. There's only one player that I'd pick, and it's Valde. If I could clone him, then that would be my team. I don't know who else I would put around him, because none of the other stars who have been highlighted over the last 2 years have lived up to their expectation. Config, no. JUGi, no. Like... Magus got picked up and taken into Astralis, right? So it's Valde and who else? Who else is out there? Refresh went and had this like crazy peak, and then it wasn't even a peak. He looked okay. Let's be honest. Refresh looked okay.
He got a little bit overhyped for that little period where he was in Cloud9.
So in the text, it doesn't say anything about who the roster is, like who the 5 players are. So I'm presuming Snappy is also out of the picture.
I presume Snappy.
And
the thing is, like, it's hard not to look at Snappy as like at least a big part of the reason why this team is not working out.
Where's MSL now?
Rogue.
They just qualified for ECS finals.
Yeah.
They beat Complexity to qualify for the ECS finals in first place.
Sure.
Jesus.
Look, if Snappy is not the problem, then he's not the solution either. So that's like, you need to be the solution. If with these players, you need to make it work. So
I mean, he definitely has a lineup with which it should at least be working fairly well. It's not like, I'm not saying that he has like the best players that he could. Obviously, there's Valde, there's other possibilities that he could have. He doesn't have the best players in the I mean, I'm not even gonna say in Denmark, because then you have Astralis who are literally like pound for pound better, like from first to fifth player. It doesn't even matter. But it's just like he has the players to make a solid team potentially, but it's just like hasn't been working out, and it's hard not to look at him.
I was really excited about that OpTic team, I have to say.
Yeah,
very disappointed.
When it came together, I thought like this could potentially like be a solid second team too.
The only reason I just had no faith in it is because when I looked at it, it was just on paper going, yep, once again we're gonna have a clusterfuck regardless. Like, yes, this is some good opportunities, but
well, okay, let's put this into context, right? This was at the time when JUGi was, at least in my mind, was considered like a player that could have been in the next like Astralis shuffle, basically. Like whenever there was going to be a shuffle involving Astralis, I thought JUGi was definitely going to be a part of that discussion. And then he went into OpTic, and obviously it has.
Where you go to die? Why are Danish players playing in fucking America in the first place?
Well, they're in Europe now, right? I
think they weren't there for that long. They weren't there for that long.
That whole beginning part was just dumb. It's like, let's make them go. That was never going to work from the start because players didn't want it.
OpTic's,
but they were just like traveling back and forth.
Is Danish, so he wanted Danish players.
That's fine. That's like he can do what he fucking wants, right? But the whole thing of when that team first went over to America, that's when I knew it was like, yep. Not gonna happen.
Here's the problem. There's a big problem as well. Like honestly, if you consider where Danish CS is at, and you just made the point before, Banks, about making teams and know about Astralis or whatever. No one is going to be the Danish team other than Astralis. It's Astralis. Yeah. Everyone else are not going to get any monopoly or movement on that fan base. Now, if I'm OpTic and I'm a huge organization like I am, you're not getting anything out of having that team as your flagship, right? You're not going to get any homegrown support. Sure, the Danes will be like, oh yeah, cool, they're playing a tournament, like let's watch them. But you're not going to monopolize the fan base.
I mean, even North has more fan base. At least they have like a football club association or something. These guys have nothing.
It's
actually nothing going for them.
OpTic's best move would be to get international squad, right? Of just like people who are all over the place, like. There's rumors right now that like Scream
we've seen that happen, by the way.
Yeah, well, yeah, we did actually, right? That's the way to get like more fans. That didn't work at all. But I wonder. I'm just curious. Like, you can't really monopolize a fan base anywhere anymore because like Sweden have always got NIP and Fnatic. You've got France with G2 and Vitality is obviously newer on the block, but they've been around in other games. There's nowhere really for these lower tier. Like, if you're an OpTic, who are you picking up? You can't monopolize North America. You'd have to go like Asia or Australia and do something super
obscure. Or the
obscure.
United Kingdom,
India maybe.
What's wrong with you?
Even I'm not thinking OpTic India sounds very promising to me. I don't know what you guys.
Yeah, that definitely went well. Next, we're gonna have fucking PowerPoint.exe.
That's a move. That's a move that nobody's gonna do for another 2 years.
Hopefully 10.
By the way, I just saw a tweet. Someone put NATO Sapphics as the 5th in that, just like pure speculation, but could work actually.
What's that?
NATO Sapphics, MSL, niko, Cajun.B refresh.
Oh,
actually, like a decent. I mean, okay, could work. I'm like the old lineup on paper.
Doesn't really inspire too much hope in me, but
Yeah, what you were saying there, right, about other teams and having more international teams. Raekwon said something in chat and it says, can you address the fact that the whole scene is awful at the moment? Astralis is #1 at the moment, the rest of the world's a joke. Swedish scene's shit, Danish scene's bad, apart from Astralis. Liquid are not that good yet, MIBR are not that good. Like, dude, that's obviously, no, wait, shut up and let me get to the point. Okay. That's what this guy's written. But so many teams have made fucking changes and stuff, right? You cannot put too much into it at the moment of where these teams are. Like, everyone's changing a lot of stuff now to go across and be like, okay, how do we step up a little bit further? But I think it's in a point where we need to see more from these teams with all the changes they're making, or teams that maybe have the longevity and stick together a little bit longer, maybe they can do something. But it doesn't mean like the scenes directly are shit. It's just we're also in a point where we're seeing more young players need to come through. And I think some of the best teams are the mixed teams where we've got like 2 or 3 of these players of two experience maybe, and then some other younger players coming up as well because they play a different style.
Sure.
Let's Bud speak.
I think that everybody else is shit right now, and I think that Astralis know that everybody else is shit right now, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner at all. I mean that even Glaive in that post-game interview that he did with Stunner, and they was asking like some of the comments he were making is alluding to the fact that everybody else is not playing good enough Counter-Strike right now, and that is
Fallen said it himself, didn't he?
That is true.
Fallen came out and said it.
Nobody is playing. Like, the thing is, I don't know how this happened, because it didn't happen overnight. It didn't just Astralis didn't just wake up one day and go,
they fucking grinded their asses off for it.
We've worked this out, right? It seems like their rise to power was very quick, but I remember I did an interview with Glaive at the Katowice event, where they had an average event, right? And I was doing something for Snipe at the time. And I was like, hey, like, okay, you've got the team, and now you've got Magic on the team. What are you going to do? He's like, well, we've got a couple of things that we're going to do, but I can't really talk about them because I don't want to give away the idea to other people. And I was like, oh, I thought he was just maybe, I don't know, talking about some practice routine or some shit. But whatever they figured out in their approach to the game, getting everybody on the same page, I don't know how the fuck that they've done it, but everybody else needs to just look at their model. Obviously, you can't copy their style. You copy their style, you're just going to continue to lose. But you need to find a style for you that works in either the current meta of Counter-Strike, or make your own fucking meta and work out a way to beat Astralis. And really work at it. I don't want to see these people like Astralis now all over social media doing shit with Jack Jones, photo shoots, this, that, the fucking Audi stuff. They're doing all this shit, but they're doing that in the wake of being the best team in the world. I don't give a fuck if you're the second, third, fourth, fifth team in the world. I only care if you're the best team in the world. If that means you have to go without some sponsor obligations, if you have to go and, maybe skip a couple tournaments so you can grind and do proper boot camps, and if people are arguing, sit them down with a fucking professional to talk your shit through, because this is a career right now where you're making shitloads of money, and sort your shit out so you can actually beat Astralis. Because at the beginning, I was like, yeah, man, like, fuck all those guys that say Counter-Strike's boring. Counter-Strike has gotten to a point where it is boring to watch because we expect Astralis to win all the time. But as soon as that doesn't happen, as soon as someone beats Astralis back-to-back, or multiple teams start beating them, now we're hyped. Now we're fucking excited. And I just want these teams to be able to do it, to put a bit of... Because you know what that's going to do? That's going to push Astralis to take us to the next level. And that's where I get my dick out, and I'm really excited. In private, not in public.
I'm about to say, not on a broadcast.
Not on a broadcast. Keep
I mean, you might as well. Like, your bottom half is below the desk. We never know what you're doing down there.
I've done a pantless segment, and I've done one with a towel. So we've gotten pretty wild out there.
What I think other teams need to realize as well, where you said, Chad, about they can't just copy what Astralis does, is finding out what's the comfort zone is for you. Because obviously the practice schedule that Astralis has, the fact that obviously where they do skip certain events and things like that, it's obviously there's reasoning behind it, and it's not just fucking like chasing the money. Where we hear things where mouse sports and they're being forced to go to multiple events even though they didn't want to go to certain events, like that shit's just not going to create a good positive mental attitude for your players or the fucking team, which then how are you supposed to go and do well? And look at their massive drop off, and then the team fucking imploded. Now there's other reasons that team kind of fell apart, but you could definitely put that to one of them. And I think that's where that's where my hope is, I guess, with MIBR, is because they've all come back, right, and they clearly want something. They clearly fed up that none of them have had that kind of success again. So could this be the camaraderie, the fucking brotherhood coming together? That's probably the only team I can think of that's doing that at the moment. I guess it depends on Liquid as well. But you got to talk about Renegades. They've put this new lineup together, right, where they bring a couple of young guns in, and they fucking hardcored. And look at the results they had. Now I don't think they'd get them results ever again if we played out the same fucking system. But the fact that they went that hardcore on the practice says that they're willing to do something completely different and step it up a level to take things more fucking seriously, where clearly this is the best they've done because the time they put into it.
You have to question at some point, especially with rosters like Liquid. Obviously Na'Vi, a lot of people say, well, replace Edward, replace Zeus, you could make some personnel changes there. And there's a lot of talent in the CIS region, and I can't argue that, but I think that Zeus has proven to be really instrumental, at least within, their last major run. We've got other rosters. Look at FaZe. It's star-studded. It's a team, obviously, we're seeing dips in performances from a lot of players, and then MIBR, the one you're alluding to. We have all of these rosters with players and capabilities that, towards the top of Counter-Strike. The bar that Astralis have raised is higher than anything that we've ever seen before, and people who argue, that 87 and 0 nip shit, just fuck off. I'm fed up with hearing that.
That's fucking hell. That's when there was no good other teams.
Where is I don't think there's an excuse anymore. I think that, someone said that Fallen is acknowledging that. Well, that's the case right now. The teams are realizing, or not realizing, they're acknowledging the fact that they do need to work harder to get themselves into a position where they can be as good, and that's great.
Coasting.
So Astralis, everybody who thinks Counter-Strike is boring, are actually making Counter-Strike better, because other teams have to eventually get better. Otherwise, I guess we'll all stop watching. I don't know.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Where how bad do you want it? And this is where I think we'll see some of these older players who maybe don't have the same motivation to play some long games or put in this kind of change. They might drop off some more, and then we get the fucking other youngsters come in and mix it up, and they are keen as fuck, and they can spur you on to play shit tons more games and enjoy the game a little bit more, for example. You still have to enjoy what you're doing, right?
Of course, and I think that today's been a fantastic thing that I've enjoyed. I don't even know this. This has been the quickest 2.5 hours of my life. What the fuck?
Yeah, I've
went on a whole bunch of tangents and we didn't even realize it was just went by.
And nothing that was even too bad. And I'm still like running off of like 3 hours sleep.
We haven't annoyed any fan bases at large. Or
We've not killed anyone just yet. No careers are over.
Not yet.
We've still got time before the show ends, boys. It can happen.
But I mean, okay.
Now is the time to annoy some fan bases.
No. Right as you started to talk about this,
there you go.
Right as you read out the question or whatever, as you presented this issue, that other teams are just not as good. Fucking look at Liquid last year. Tell me, outside of Astralis, tell me a better story of improvement for the past, like, let's say a couple of years, or even 3 years. Tell me a team that has improved more than Liquid had last year. Then,
I get what you're saying. I definitely get what you're saying right here. I think that we painted the picture before for the viewer that if Astralis didn't exist last year, then Liquid would have been the best team, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's
there
just
would have been a little bit more back and forth right between other teams. That weren't as dominant. I don't think Liquid could have ever done the whole win.
You know, when we have, like, last year, for example, especially the last 6 months, and it's the same that we had when we had FaZe and MIBR as the best two teams, and we were lucky enough in Uldensa the first time round to have them meet in the best-of-5 grand final. That's when I wish that E-League would do their Clash for Cash type events, right? The one that they did with VP versus Astralis was, we know why they did it. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward to kind of piggyback off the major that they run, but it took into account no other single narrative in the Counter-Strike, which just shows that it's definitely being pitched by television people and not people who are, that weary of what's going on in esports. But all in all, I think that it now would be, or not now, but maybe the end of last year. I know we had it plenty of times. Maybe now. Maybe now would be a cool time to see Astralis go up against Liquid in a best-of-5, just to see how much work that they did do in preparation for that major. Those kind of things, they're obviously more gimmicky, they're more spectacles, but for me as like somebody who wants to see the best Counter-Strike, this is why, like, when I talk about a team at the moment and people are like, oh, you're being so harsh, like, well, it's just because I'm spoiled. Like, I've been spoiled to watching some amazing Counter-Strike. And look, the amount that I feel that I have learnt as an individual from watching CS non-stop now for the better part of the last 3 years compared to what you do as when you're a player and you have a very narrow-minded view of the confines of your team and the elements around you is insane. Like, I've never known this much about CS, right? And I don't think if I went back to playing I would be good. I think though if I tried to coach, I could definitely help with some elements there. But I think that I've learned so much from watching CS from this angle, and Astralis have helped accelerate that because they've brought things that I didn't even consider as possibilities into the game. They've refined executes to the point that it's almost perfection. They're just their ideas are so not outside of the box. It's just like bending what we thought was possible at the time and just getting the most out of it. And that's one of the biggest things that I have to credit them with, and it's made me a bit of a happy chappy. But that's why, guys, when we sit there and we say, oh, this team, they're not performing as well, because the bar that Astralis has set, that's the gold standard. Yeah. That's what we want to see all the time. And maybe that's a little bit unfair to expect from everybody, but I just wish we had more Counter-Strike at that level all the time.
It comes down to timing with some scenes as well, right? Look at Sweden. They're recycling so much where some players who have been on the cusp of it are only getting a call up now and they're not actually young anymore. They've already seen that, so you don't feel like it's like a new change or something to a team. Yeah. We touched on it not too long ago, but it's like one of those things where you're like, you look at things, you think, oh, well, we've seen this person. This is the like recycled, but actually they're only just getting like their first call up. They've just had to wait so fucking long for it because teams were able to, for some reason, hold on to rosters that probably didn't deserve to stay together for as long as they did.
There's the weird thing with that is as well, I think if we maybe had, I don't know what you guys think about this, but if we had clearer trade windows for roster movements, that people would get recycled more often. But because, like, let's say that Fnatic have just signed a 3-year contract and NIP's contracts are coming up to an end at the end of this year, well, the overlap, if NIP wanted Crims, for example, is now really fucking ridiculous, because it's going to be difficult to either get him out of that contract if Fnatic are going to want a lot of money for him. This is just a hypothetical. But if we had more open trade windows, you'd see more movements. But people get locked in and out of things, and that does make it, very difficult to see these ideal rosters that we talk about from time to time. It used to just be personalities, but now it's contracts.
Yeah, I mean, we see trades, we see transfers happening all the time, but it's not the ones that should be happening.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's like secondary, tertiary kind of transfers that they didn't really have in mind in the first place. Like they just the team wants to make a change, but they don't get their priority player that they wanted to get. Just look at MIBR and what happened with them and Simple and Flamey, right? It's just try to think about what that lineup could have done potentially. Like sure, Flamey since then has really like dipped, and he just hasn't looked. I mean, he has kind of like returned to a better level now, but he had that like a dip in form for a while at the end of last year, and even towards the start of this year. And just consider what that lineup could have done if it wasn't Stewie and Tarek, who didn't make. I mean, who obviously weren't like the massive stars that Simple is.
Even before that, it was Automatic who was offered. That is public knowledge now. And then Automatic said, no, I'm sticking with Cloud9. Then Stewie left.
Wasn't it Stewie and Automatic though at the time?
I think it was double.
I think it was duos as well at that time. I don't want to misspeak because I don't exactly remember what all the options were. But I think the primary one was Simple and Flamey. Because those were the two players from Navi. I mean, Flamey was the only other player aside from Simple that makes sense.
Guys, you were saying about the whole like have a spectacle, right? Do a better version of what E-League did. Foreign tweeted out. I remember seeing this yesterday or maybe earlier today. I have no idea because I've been awake.
The
so
UFC
long.
thing.
Yeah, if you want to make esports spectacles and make it like UFC, Team Liquid fights Astralis for the belt, best of 5, no bans, winner takes majority of prize money, 3-week pre-match build-up and coverage and hype videos. That does sound fucking awesome.
And also,
the thing is, we don't have time. We don't really have any like.
We don't have the schedule for it at the moment. Basically, there's no room yet.
And the thing is, like, we don't even know. Like, sure, at this point, like Astralis and Liquid to have a series between them makes sense. But a lot of the time, like, we don't even know if those are the two best teams. Like, this is the rivalry that we've kind of created over the past year, just because they played so much against each other. But I mean, this new lineup, we don't even know if that's going to be as good as it was before.
Let's do this then. We do all year, right, up until the 10th month of the year of all the events. And then the top 2 teams on HLTV by that point have some build up and fight out in December, and we end the year with a fucking bang. Boom.
I think that the concept of it is really cool, and a lot of the stuff that Duncan outlined there is a lot of the stuff is missing anyway. Like, what we're doing right now is what I would consider a supplementary show to Counter-Strike, but it's 4 guys on webcams. It's not like a show where we all get into a studio and we sit down and we have assets and we can break down, hey, this is a really cool pit execute that Fnatic did where they do the smokes and then they Molotov the site like this. Or, oh, Ago on Inferno in the grand final versus Windigo, we could break down like all those players, or Ships the MVP, and then you could have like somebody break down why he got the MVP and really show, his impact. Okay, well, he had these 2 bad games, but this didn't really matter here, and these ones were good games. And when we talk about impact frags, these are impact frags. Have players on, discuss shit with them. All that kind of stuff is completely missing, and that's because we're all out here just week in, week out, going to a different tournament with a different tournament organizer with the same game, the same teams, and just fucking doing the same shit, right? This is what happens when you have an open circuit. There's so much opportunity to do as much as you want, but there's no refinement in terms of the products. And tournament organizers aren't going to take the time to build a sideshow around it because there's no value in it. Why spend money on, paying a bunch of people to go and have a broadcast that right now we're streaming and there's not a lot of people watching, right? Sure, ECS is on right now, but that exactly proves my point. A lot of people want to watch the live game as opposed to watching the breakdown. And because Counter-Strike is being fed down your throat all the time, you're just going to watch the match because you cannot watch it unfold on your own terms. But like in traditional sports, and I'm not making this comparison because I think traditional sports is the route that we need to go, it's just because I think that what they do in terms of coverage for hardcore viewers is really cool. They're the elements that we're missing, and one day we'll get there. One day we'll eventually get our shit together where, people won't be saying yes to every single event and traveling around to tournament, country to country, and we'll have more time to actually give the viewer more in-depth stuff. You see after the ESL major that people are like, oh, where are the player profiles? They obviously want to know about the players, but I think the player profiles are probably done to some extent, and what I mean by
But
that
player
is
profiles can be done by people making
anyone
other
can do
external
it.
content, right? As long
It's
as you get access to it, you don't actually have to have that done for the major. And yes, it's a little filler, but that's not the filler content we need to cover a major properly.
Look what Ents
filler
did.
content I want to see is real behind the fucking scenes stuff. Yes, like the Ents thing you just mentioned. If no one's watched that as well, go on the Ents YouTube. It's raw because it doesn't cut out any of the bullshit. They keep in there trash talking and stuff with other teams and how the actual team operates. But from a content perspective, which I'm very passionate about, is I want to see the actual story. I don't just want to see one player story. I want to see the full build up to what's it meaning to these players or teams to get to that position.
I mean, I'll do the stupid comparison, but
Here we
if
go.
any of you guys watched the Dota True Sight documentary
Yes,
about the international grants.
That fucking shit is amazing when we get their comms and stuff.
I
Oh
watched
my
it 3
God.
times. I never played Dota in my life. That's how good that shit is.
There you go.
Made by Valve, of course.
Yeah.
We don't have stuff like that in CS. That was fucking insane. That's so good.
It would be epic if we could get
I
something
still
like
have,
that.
I still have to watch that. I've said like I have to watch it like about 10 times, and I just always forgot about it.
Striker, it's worth your fucking time, honestly.
I know about the
shit's
story
nuts.
because I don't really follow Dota, but you know.
Yeah, you'd probably be better to answer this bit
international-
as well. This Clappy says, "Do you think analysts need more time in pre-match to build up the match?" I think
Yes.
I think yes. I think we also need to have, like ESL had there, the end interview thing that Chad mentioned that Stunner did with Astralis. That needs to happen at every event. That was fucking. I know viewership drops off. I know people stop watching afterwards, but there is a hardcore bunch of us that are fucking awesome that love that kind of stuff. That content's brilliant. I think the pre-shows that they did at the beginning are solid as well. A little bit more casual, a bit like a lad's couch kind of conversation and stuff like that. And then it helps us set the story for the whole day, because you've got to remember when we are on there, when we're hosting the desk and we're doing all that kind of stuff, in between ad time and what Valve want when it's a major in terms of timing, you literally sometimes, you guys have probably seen it on broadcast, we're sat there and we're like 2 minutes of talking, and it's literally, we can't even begin to get to our point.
Yeah, so 2 things there. The first point about the conversation that Stunner had with them afterwards, I think that retained like 150,000 people, right? I think there was still
that's very unique, right? Because it is Astralis. I think a lot of people would still drop off.
Well, I don't think it's an every tournament thing. I think it's obviously for the bigger events, that's for sure. And then the point that you were making there, I'll just back you up on that. People who like look at the segments and they go, oh, that was quick or whatever. During the majors, Valve want to keep the break time between games as short as possible to retain as much viewership, right? That makes sense. So for us to actually go in depth and give you proper Counter-Strike breakdowns, it's almost impossible. It's one of the hardest trade-offs to have as an analyst desk is the entertainment factor versus the educational factor. And at ESL with the telestrator that we were using for Katowice, we tried to go for more of an educational route, which a lot of people, if you watch the analyst desk back in the day where it had like Fifi and Thorin and casters would swap in and out, their stuff was much more entertaining in terms of like what kind of gags and what kind of stuff they were putting out there from the analyst desk back then than what it is today. And that is, look, that's good and bad. Both of these are good and bad. You know, I like to give an in-depth analytical view while trying to be kind of funny, right? Some people are really dry with their analysis. Some people are just funny with their analysis. Some people are really story-driven. Everybody does different things. I think it's a very difficult balance to find. I don't think that having more time before matches or after matches is the key, especially when Counter-Strike is so many matches in a day. In a lot of occasions, it's just too much for everybody to take in. This is where in off days, more time needs to be given to proper sideshow content. Proper content. Get a studio where shit is prepared, pre-prepared. You have players come in. You're having discussions. You need the broadcast type people there because they know how to have a conversation on camera. I don't
Someone
give a
just get me. I'll fucking sit there and do it. I love them in-depth interviews.
That's the thing, right? Like, and you want to be like what we're doing right now in a live environment. Imagine what we're doing right now in a bar in where, like, so Berlin's the next major. The 4 of us are in a bar. A whole bunch of Counter-Strike fans come. We've got a whole bunch of HLTV.org stats there. We've got Maku making, if he still makes them, I don't know, making some fucking highlight videos or making strat breakdowns or some bullshit. And we have players come in and we're talking to them and we're all having a good time. And it's alive. It's fun, you know. It's fun. It's educational. It's everything together. And that's a standalone thing for the hardcore viewer, because those of you who want longer analytical segments are the minority. That's the that's the unfortunate truth of the matter. You guys who love that kind of content are the hardcore fan. The main fans just want to watch the game, and the main fans who are entertained by Counter-Strike just want to watch the semi-finals and the grand final. You hardcores, You are the guys who, when I make a comment, you go, oh yeah, I can see his side of things. It's these other fucking idiots who, like, I just tweeted out my fantasy draft and some cunt replied to me and he said, I can see why Yanko was a better analyst than you. It's a fucking draft, cunt, where I have to pick players with other people. I can pick my
I was
5
expecting
star.
that.
I was
Dad,
like,
this is so
Jesus
funny.
Christ.
Why don't you pick simple?
You know what? It's
Jesus.
amazing because you know what you were saying about the desk segments. So obviously I got to host the minor desks. That was a lot of fun. But some cunt, I think it's Bot Maverick or one of these cunts I've now blocked because I would otherwise just give him a ton of abuse. Comes out, tweets at me, and he's like, "This is why Machine is a better host than you because he allows the analysts to have more time and doesn't cut them to breaks." I'm like, "Yes, because that is fully under my control. You fucking moron."
I've used
You have
the mute
you have
key.
a good feedback on in the comments though, which is regarding Twist's headshot ratio.
Yes,
Because he
that
has
is-
been
I
fucking
should- I
insane.
should-
Like
I should
put
look to change
headshot
that.
ratio in that, and like, just let me know how much it gives you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Why are you helping your enemy? Your
Right,
Yeah, but
look,
I'll say,
we're not against each other in this. Like we're not playing this like next episode or anything. We're not
Are we not
touching
looking
back
at
on
it?
it.
Oh.
Are we?
How
I
not?
thought we were. I thought this was going to be a new feature. I thought we were doing this for like the next event.
I'm pretty sure it was just like to present it. I'm not.
I'm-
like,
I'm-
I don't
No,
know.
I would do
Striker,
it
I
every
disagree.
time.
I
I
want to
don't
do
know.
this for Star
Okay,
Ladder
fuck
as well
it.
afterwards.
Look,
I
I'm
enjoyed
fine.
it.
I'm fine with that. We can do it, but
Yeah, it's
just
going to
like-
become the better thing than your YouTube's little whack off over bets.
I don't know. I spent like 2-3 years playing fantasy football, and it was the worst and the best, but mostly the worst. Like all the time, just feeling the worst. Like, why is this happening to me?
See, there you go.
Oh.
Nomad said, of course you are against each other. See, Nomad gets it. It's war.
Why
Fucking
can't
war.
I? Oh, there we go,
Nomad,
change
you need
Nomad.
more time for picking. I got
No,
fucked.
you don't. No, you don't.
Shut up,
That's-
Chad. I got fucked.
no, this
I
is
got
good.
screwed. I had to get fur.
It's
No, you
fair
have to-
feedback.
It is
First-
fair feedback. I got screwed. I was like, I was talking on the show. I'm making my pick, and I'm like, yep, great. Now I
I mean,
have fur.
this game is not made with us in mind, right?
Oh, this
it's
game
not
should
made
be
with- With people who are also on camera and then just try to explain something to other people. Like this
I
is meant
admittedly
for
was slow.
for a team speak of like 4 people. Yes, it's the same as here or whatever, 5, 6, up to 6 in this event. And for them to just trash talk each other for their picks and just say, "Oh fuck you, Niko is bad. He had a shit tournament or whatever." That's what the game is for.
At your
For
pre-draft.
bragging rights,
What's a
basically.
pre-draft? Did we
We didn't
do
have
that?
time to do it this evening. I think
Okay.
I think next time when
Yeah.
we
We'll
do
flesh it out
this-
some more. I won't
Yeah,
be
we'll work
running
it out.
from an event and have to get here at some stupid time. Yeah,
Yes.
that was fun.
Right,
this
I want to
has
go play
been
some
one of the-
FPLC.
Yeah, this has been one of the most fun episodes we've done so far. We've been so down. I just want to go to fucking. Well, I want to see my son before he goes to bed. Then I want to go to bed because I'm just giving up now.
I'm dead too. I went to Prague and back for which is like a 4.5-hour drive because of a Chinese visa.
Oh
Also
shit!
kind of dead.
I gotta get mine too. All right. Well, GG to all of us.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
I think we're
Alright.
back on Monday the next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
I
back
don't even
Monday.
know. Probably.
Either
Monday the
Monday or
25th.
Tuesday, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, because
it
it depends
makes
when you
sense. It
guys
makes
come back from
sense.
Sao Paulo, right?
I land on
I
Monday at
mean-
lunchtime, so
Okay.
Same.
Oh, I guess we're doing it on Monday then. So next episode will be on the 25th. Thank you very much for all of you as tuning in as always. Me, Professor Striker, and Sponge have a lot of fun doing this. It's probably been our longest episode as well, and we just went off on some cool tangents. We discussed a lot of different topics, and it wasn't even that much to talk about in terms of like a lot happening because WESG was very minor. Obviously, had fun with the Fantasy Blast, the Blast Sao Paulo Fantasy. I've put this all together now. See, I'm falling apart. But yeah, we had breaking news even in the middle of the show, which means Lucas was on his job, has given us the music. Yeah, guys.
Anchor.fm/HLTV.
Yes, there we go. So if you want to listen to the
There we go.
podcast, if you don't just care about watching our faces, because we are just talking heads over a lot of it, you can download the podcast as well for whatever platform you use. We'll see you next Monday, 8 p.m. CET for another episode of HLTV Confirmed.